Hi guys, thank you for joining the live stream. Today we are going to discuss capitalism versus communism again. By capitalism, we don't mean everything that can be remotely attributed to capitalism. We specifically mean the idea of free markets versus the idea of freebies, welfare, communism, socialism, big government oversight and intervention, etc. Oversight might be debatable, but anyway. Today we are going to look at Patrick Bet-David's debate with Professor Richard Wolff, who is... Wait, is my volume fine? Yeah, it seems to be fine. So, Patrick Bet-David's debate with Professor Richard Wolff, who is arguably USA's most prominent Marxist thinker, although he might be on the same level with Slavoj Žižek, who refuses to call himself a Marxist actually. He calls himself a Hegelian. But anyway, Richard Wolff is not some random commie. So you will probably find the best arguments you've ever heard from a commie from Richard Wolff, possibly, because he is the most respected one. Although we did look at Noam Chomsky's debate with Patrick Bet-David, that turned out to be a dud also. And another warning before starting the live stream is that Patrick Bet-David, of course, always asks his guests what are their backgrounds, etc., upbringing like. So you'll have to wait a little bit. We'll watch it at 1.25x to get to directly the debate of communism versus capitalism. But mainly, we need to listen to that part of the conversation as well, because so that we know a bit of the background and so that the entire context is set up very well in our minds as well, so that we can listen and sharpen our arguments. And maybe we, if at all the arguments by Richard Wolff are that great, we might end up agreeing as well. Let's see. I haven't watched it. Okay, M. Shastri Singh, I read that chapter from Barclay's book. Savarkar's description of INC as Rashtriya Hijre was apt. IIRC Balasaheb Balasaheb used to call Congress minority. Oh my god. Savarkar had a way with words, yes. Good evening. Did you check your inbox? No, I haven't been able to check any inbox, mail, Instagram, anything. I'm just responding and confirming dates and timings with my guests for the next up until Saturday, etc. उसमें ही सब time चला गया. मैं ब्रह्म हूँ, I'm everywhere. Lol. Every commie is random. That might be a nice way to put it. There is no such thing as a non-random commie. Okay, let's start.
Robin Hood's merry band of men. He was taking money from the rich and giving it to the poor. That was his specialty.
Was it really the rich he was taking money from, or was he taking money from the government who was taxing people too much?
Our economic systems are set up like that, to make a minority rich and a majority poor.
But if 500,000 people in America can make $1 million, don't you think 1 million people can make $1 million?
No.
You don't believe that?
No, not for 1 minute. There's a reason that Bezos is the richest man in the world and the Walmart family is the richest in the world.
Amazon doesn't have competition? Tell me one thing that's overpriced on Amazon.
They want profit, because that's their reward. I get that. You want to paint me as an advocate of the government. I'm not.
Thank God, man, because we're on the same page there. Who's against rich people? Bernie? I'll freaking vote for this guy.
Suppose we had, here it comes, a different economic arrangement. You know who writes the laws in this country. It's the lobbyists. Blaming the government is an American pastime. It's more popular than baseball.
So my guest today is Richard Wolff. He's written over 12 books. He's got a new one that comes out. I will put the link below. He is a professor and has taught economics at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. He's taught economics at Yale, City University of New York, University of Utah, University of Paris. He got his bachelor's magna cum laude in history from Harvard in 1963, master's from Stanford, PhD from Yale. And he has an issue with those who love capitalism. So I figured we'd bring him on and see if we can have a friendly debate here about capitalism and socialism. So Richard, thanks for being a guest on Valuetainment.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
So Richard, I mean, the short name for Richard is Rich. Why does Rich hate rich people? What is it with you, Rich? I'm trying to figure you out.
Actually, I don't hate rich people. Some of my best friends are rich people. If you go to Harvard and Yale, you're surrounded by rich people. Even if I didn't want to have them as friends, I would have had little choice in those places. No, it's for me, the problem is not the individual. The problem is the system. And so I don't hate rich people at all. I feel kind of sad for them because they've worked in many cases quite hard to get to be rich. imagining that that's what life is about. And then they get very disappointed along the way. And after 3 martinis, they tell me all about it.
So you think they're working too hard and they're not enjoying life. And because of that, they would be much happier if they work less. That's what you think?
Among other things, yeah, I think they'd be happier if not only if they worked less, but if the kind of work they did and the kind of relationships they had with other people in that work were different, they'd be an awful lot happier. And this is not just my opinion. That's what they've told me.
So let me ask you this. A lot of times in life, like for myself, obviously we were just talking about the painting behind me. Many times when you go back and you see somebody, how they form their opinions, there is a certain trail on how they got to it, right? How did you get to the opinions and beliefs that you have today? If you can go back and talk about, I was raised in a family, here's my mom and dad, this is what happened to me at this age. I kind of want to know the underlying motivation that led you to believe in what you believe in today.
Well, sure, I can give you some of the milestones, at least as best I've been able to make them out. I was born in Ohio in the Midwest. My father worked in a steel factory.
M. Shastri, 4 p.m. IST, remember, okay? That might be too early for you, isn't it?
In Youngstown, Ohio. But when I was 5 years old, we moved east, and we settled in a suburb of New York City called New Rochelle. You may know it. And it was a commuter town. My father took the train into New York City every day, worked really hard in the city, came home in the evening. Most of the people in New Rochelle were commuters like him. And so the train took about 35 minutes to get from New Rochelle into Grand Central Station. And when I went with my father, very important, we would pass on this train through Harlem, that part of New York City. And, looking like as a youngster, looking out the window, it was very easy for me to see 2 things. One, the people whose apartments, by the way, were often no more than 4, 5, 6 feet from where the train passed. I could see into their apartments because that's where the level of the train was. And I could see 2 things. One, that they were very poor. And number 2, that they were black. These were very clear signs. Even a little kid could figure that out.
Remember that does not mean that only black people are poor in USA, okay? If you go to Appalachian Mountains in USA, that's an entirely white, poor neighborhood. Can the podcast of Professor Babonis be in color instead of black and white? Yeah, okay. If I can remember doing that, let's see.
And so I asked my father, what is that? Why are those people living like that? And my father, who was mostly a distant father and didn't give me all that much time, somehow felt that this was an important question and gave me a level of attention and concern that I'm sure was the most valuable thing about all of this. But he also explained to me that we live in a society which is fundamentally unfair to an awful lot of people. And for example, those poor people living crowded in those not real nice looking apartments, those are among the kinds of people that are not well treated, not given a fair shake in life. And I listened to him the way a child does.
He reached this conclusion as a child because some people were not having a prosperous life.
But, I went with him fairly often. He did take me.
How old were you at that time when he told you this? I'm curious.
I would say I was probably 9, 10,
oh, wow.
11 years of age.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And, I think I half understood what he was talking about. I loved the attention. And so, the way children do, the next time we went into New York, I made sure at around the same time to ask a variation of the same question so that we would have this conversation, which I very much enjoyed. And then, as I grew older, I began to get interested in basically understanding, the basic questions that came to me. Why are some nations rich and other ones poor? Why are some people rich and others poor? Why is the quality of life so different? New Rochelle is a suburb that has very poor and very rich people and a good number in between. So I was constantly reinforced in asking that kind of question.
Now, your pops, who was your dad's inspiration? Like, if I were to ask, who was your dad's favorite president? Would you say FDR? Would you say who was he? Who was somebody that he admired and he liked?
I'm trying to think. I think the first person in this country, he was an immigrant. Let me go back. I was born in the United States.
Got it.
But neither my father nor my mother were. My father was French and my mother was German. So I grew up speaking French and German.
Nice.
I only learned English when they put me in the kindergarten and I had to speak it. So the first person my father I remember speaking highly of was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. That person loomed large as a political leader who my father felt gave a damn about the average person, did a lot of things to help people in a very hard time, the Great Depression. And I remember hearing him talk very glowingly about FDR.
Now, when you think about that, when you say FDR, so for you, you've had your belief system since you were 9 years old. It's not like you're somebody where you say, I used to be a Republican. My parents were Republicans. And I decided, I realized that's not the way to go. So I went and studied, and then I became a socialist because I met a professor. You've had this belief system for 60 some years. You've had it for a long time.
I've had the belief system for a long time, but I've also entertained other belief systems. Partly, again, my father and my mother were very open-minded. They did not want me to be a parrot. They did not want me to parrot even their perspectives. So in my home, there hangs a photograph of my first political act, which is standing at the commuter train station in New Rochelle, New York, holding a sign that read, "I like Ike," which was actually Eisenhower in the Republican race for president. And, you know, I had no problem doing that with my friends and my parents. They did ask me questions why I was doing it, but I told them why, and that was my business to determine. So they've been very good about that. I've never felt.
This reminds me of my parents. My parents never told me any particular viewpoint is right. They never forced me to become communist. They never questioned me becoming a Hindutvadi. This is true liberalism, I guess, in action.
And I did the same with my two kids. It's not my job to shape your political ideas. I'm sure some of that happens no matter what we do, just
sure, of course.
Of it. But otherwise, I don't think that's appropriate any more than telling you what religious affiliation you ought to have or anything like that.
Do your kids have the same political beliefs as you?
I don't know if they're the same. In the way America works, they'd be left of center, but they're not the same. They're not.
So they're not as left as you maybe, but they're left of center.
They're left of center. My son, much less left. My daughter, closer to me in that respect.
How old were you the first time you read Communist Manifesto?
16 or 17.
So did a school teacher give it, or did your pops or mom say read the book? My father told me this is an important book for you to read, given your interests, given your questions, given our conversations. You know, here you're getting something that is very European. For someone who's been through the European schooling system, a weird thing.
The American system was a continuing shock.
Yeah.
The fact that I'll give you an example. When I was young, when I went to high school, ninth grade, the first time, the way high school is set up in New York State, my father asked me about my classes in Latin and Greek. So I answered my father, there are no classes in Latin and Greek in my high school. He didn't believe me. He said, oh, you must be mistaken. The next day he went into the school with me, barged right into the principal's office. He was polite and all that, but he said, look, I want to talk to you about Latin and Greek. And the principal was a very nice guy. He brought me in there, so I, of course, had to be witness to all this. The principal said, we have never taught Greek in this high school, at least in the years I've been the principal. And we don't teach Latin unless four or more sets of parents were to demand it.
Four or more?
Four or more. If four or more want it, we will get a part-time teacher to offer it. My father then went around.
Okay, lots of things happening in the comment section. Okay. Buddhadev Bhattacharya Archives joined my membership. This is a weird world to live in. Thank you for taking the membership. And he's asking, oh nice, you guys discussed Richard Wolff as well. Yes, and we didn't do the debate because you said you need to get up and go to gym. Would you like to come to the live stream and debate me right now? Have you heard of Pico Iyer? No, I don't know who is Pico Iyer. Will you read Kushal Mehra's book, new book? Yes, I absolutely will. And after that, I'm planning to invite him to a podcast. I think he will reject because he probably thinks I'm a casteist.
Found another 3 parents, and I learned Latin in school, but in a class of 4 students, because there were only that many parents. I mean, my father stopped when he got 4, but that's how I learned. My father was always of the opinion that what was offered to...
On whatever, Buddhadev Bhattacharya, C.P.I.M, communism, anything. Whatever questions you had for me in that comment section.
Expected of American high school students was a scandal. It was not serious. For example, he gave me Plato and Aristotle to read. He gave me St. Augustine and Thomas Aquinas. We're not Catholic. It had nothing to do with that. But if he felt that an educated human being needs exposure to these great works, and he was aghast.
I can send you the Google Meet link here on the comment section, and you need to copy paste that. Do you have a stable enough internet connection and somewhat good quality mic in your laptop or whatever?
That the high school made no effort.
Now, let me ask you, how old were you the first time you read Wealth of Nations or Atlas Shrugged?
That was college. That would have been 3 or 4 years later. I read Adam Smith, basically because I had a freshman class at Harvard, that gave me, a few select.
Let's do this. How do I copy this? Yeah. I don't think I can change the name of the stream midway between the podcast. Okay, so I'll do it later on. Lol. Can you see the link, right? Okay, let me pin a comment here informing people that this is in fact now a debate. Yes, Richard Wolff will have to wait. Okay, we'll talk about Buddhism only, or we'll talk about Buddhism if you want. You can see the link, right? I'll send it again then. Or I can just tell you the code, okay? IRH-BKZV-BFZ. Type in your browser meet.google.com/this code I just mentioned. How will you send me? Yeah, meet.google.com/IRH-BKZV-BFZ. Oh, this quote by Pico Iyer reminds me of the song Ami Ek Jajabar. No, if you post a link, it won't be visible. Links are not usually visible in this live chat. Where did you post it? Can't you type what I said, the link? Just type what I said, okay. meet.google.com/IRH-BKZV. IRH-B for Bombay, K for Kolkata, Z for zombie, V for vroom vroom, dash B for Bombay, F for fuck, Z for zombie. We'll wait a little. Yeah. By then, let's check out the other comments. If Buddhadev can't make it, I'll join. Repeat, please. Okay, yeah. meet.google.com / I for India, R for Randi, H for Hindi, - B for Bombay, K for Kolkata, Z for Zombie, V for Vroom Vroom, - B for Bombay, F for Fuck, Z for Zombie. Yeah, here he is. Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Can I say your name out loud? Do you have a problem with that?
No
Okay.
issues.
Okay. Hello, Shuryashish.
Hello. Your name is Nirajan
Yeah.
or Niranjan or what?
Nirajan.
Okay.
Are you fully comfortable with English, or we can go back and forth between English and Hindi as well? Bengali to সবাই নেই এখানে.
Bangla as well.
Okay. Only Bengali won't work here because most of my viewers are not Bengali.
Yeah. That's fine. I can speak Hindi also very comfortable.
Okay, no problem. So his name is Shuryashish Paul, and thank you for joining this live stream. Thank you for taking up the membership. Thank you for having the balls to take up a debate so randomly without any preparation. I think unprepared debates are the best debates because you don't go around mugging up random theories and random debates. Random data from here and there. Oh, in that year Buddhadev Bhattacharya had an abortion. We don't need that kind of debate. We need what knowledge you already have in your brain, so that comes out.
That's fine. Okay. It's quite late. I might not be able to stick around for more than 1 hour.
Fair
1
enough.
AM.
Yeah. So what? Say.
Yeah, my simple question to you was that I have seen your videos and I quite appreciate them also, I must say, because you are one of the few YouTubers in Bengal landscape who talks about these issues. I have never seen someone who does a video on Richard Wolff or, let's say, other pre-market economists also. I have very rarely seen. But my question to you was that regarding Karpuri Thakur was that first of all, do you identify yourself as a BJP supporter, or what is your stance on it? Are you a free thinking right-wing person, or you don't have any other options at the moment with all the parties that are there near you support BJP? What is your stance exactly?
Yeah. First of all, that free thinking left winger, free thinking right winger doesn't make any sense, because everyone thinks that as a compliment and goes around saying that they are a free thinker. But so I won't make that claim. Economically, I am probably the farthest right wing in entire India, or maybe any libertarian in India. Culturally, I'm right where BJP is, maybe a little further right. In some context, I guess I'm a little left of BJP, only in 2 or 3 concepts, like declaring a Janeu instead of PhD degree, calling you a Pandit, Upadhyay instead of a doctorate. Those sorts of things I like. I would love to see in India. Other than that, I'm culturally mostly happy where BJP is. On economics, I'm very, very further right of BJP. And since I don't have any option at the moment, and BJP seems to be taking the country in a more right-wing direction economically, therefore, I have a lot of respect for them. Plus, I have a lot of respect for people like Narendra Modi, Yogi Adityanath, their hold on, let's say, their conception of what is law and order, how not to conflate equality with poverty, those sorts of things. And I have large amount of respect for RSS as well, for protecting a lot of Hindus during the partition riots in Punjab, and then preventing a lot of conversion and anti-India activity in the Northeast. That's all.
Okay, so when you talk about, I am not very aware of this, So let me admit my what to say, little knowledge on this. So when you say that RSS was involved in protecting Hindus during partition, so do you have some original sources for that you would want me to refer to?
Yeah, I can send you later on. I never remember books.
Okay, but like authors or something like that you would
there are plenty. Maybe someone can in the comment section remind me as well. So
on the top of your mind, someone that you can name.
No, I don't remember those things because these things never come up in debates.
Okay, fine.
And what do you think I mean by protecting Hindus?
What do I think? I mean, in the general sense, life, property, and the freedom of religion, freedom of practicing their
No, I mean
religion.
when the riots were going on, they were beating people up and protecting Hindus physically.
No, what do I have to think about that?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm just clarifying whether you know what I mean by protecting Hindus when I talk about RSS here during the partition.
Yeah, that is common knowledge, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. So when the trains were coming with chopped heads of Hindus, at some point the Sikhs decided that we are also going to send trains full of with chopped heads of Muslims. That's when the trains with chopped Hindus stopped coming from Pakistan.
You are talking about. I think Manto has also written about this.
Yeah, to some extent.
To some extent.
Yeah. So are you saying you are not a communist, but you are a Buddhadev Bhattacharya supporter?
I don't know what exactly I support, but yeah, as a person, I do support Buddhadev Bhattacharya. I think in the last 10 years of left front, there were some corrective measures, lot of which has become futile after the present dispensation. That is,
when you say corrective measures, do you mean so whatever was happening before that was wrong?
To some extent, yes.
To what extent not? What were the right things that were happening before Buddhadev Bhattacharya came to power?
I would say that some of the right things, again, this will go derail into some other topics. What I wanted to talk about rather was the specific question that I raised to you, but what I wanted.
Yeah, we'll get to that as well. I'll mark it, remembering Karpuri Maharaj. Yeah. So, what right things was C.P.I.M doing? Do you think before Buddhadev came to power, before Buddhadev became the C.M?
Some of them that I can name exactly was one was, of course, the increase in agricultural production. That was one thing, and the restoration of the stability after the Naxalbari movement. That was also another thing. Now you can claim that, of course, these were to co-opt the Naxal leaders or something like that. But the fact of the matter is that even after such a vibrating movement where lakhs of people had died because of no rhyme or reason, C.P.I.M was able to restore peace.
Okay. Why were the Naxals wrong to do what they were doing?
Why were the Naxals wrong? First, I mean, the entire movement was wrong. I mean, what was correct? What was correct about the
that they were fighting for poor people, for equality, killing the bourgeoisie, killing an oppressive state, representatives of the state.
No, I mean, I think you still have the assumption that I come from a very communist kind of thinking, where I would agree to all this statement.
So, are you saying that equality and fighting the bourgeoisie is not important?
No, I am not fighting the bourgeoisie in the true sense of the term, like fighting with bows and axes. That is certainly not a way in which you can bring about any change.
Why not?
The only change that has, the only revolution that has ever been successful in the history of of the world is the French Revolution. That is the only violent movement that has ever been successful in doing and persisting what they have done. But apart from that, be it China, be it Russia, USSR, things have moved quickly south. And so, I mean, violence, I mean, against I mean, violence without a rhyme or reason cannot be justified.
But they had a reason, right? Equality and fighting the bourgeoisie.
I mean, you have to weigh the reasons with the actual actions.
Yeah.
I mean,
So do you disagree with the reasons or do you disagree with the methods?
I disagree with the reasons as well as the methods.
Okay. If you disagree with the reasons, then why were CPIM's actions good? Why did the farmers need any sort of help with CPIM? Help from CPIM?
I mean, all governments tend to help the farmers in one way or the other.
Okay. So CPIM was nothing special for doing that, right?
Yes, in the sense, but they did it efficiently, I would say.
Okay.
That is
Do you know that their caste got solidified because of that? That if you are born in a farmer family, you will have to end up being a farmer forever and after?
I don't think that's true. Let me tell from my quote unquote lived experiences.
Fair enough.
So I come from a farmer family.
Okay.
You know, the farmer family. My father's side was the people whose lands were sealed in that sort of the term. And my mother's side is people who got the lands after the sealing. None of them after that the progenies all have gone on to become engineers, doctors. Some of them have remained farmers, but that is not because they were forced to do so. That is precisely because they were not apt to get into more technical fields.
And
So,
yeah, go ahead.
That is my lived experience. I come from a place in Mednipur, which is Godbeta. You must have heard the name also.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my lived experience. And most people I don't know I have not traveled the entire Bengal, and I cannot produce a statistical report of how
Yeah,
many
even I can't at the moment.
I cannot do that. But whatever I have seen, and I have grown up in Jharkhand as well. A part of me, I was in Dhanbad for a very long time. There, the caste barriers, in fact, are stronger I feel, in the northern part of India, in Dhanbad, in Bihar, than in West Bengal. This is my opinion.
Yeah.
This is what I've experienced in 30 years of my life.
Yeah. So if CPIM did not, let's say, solidify the professions, the jatis of the people who were doing the farming, by making them just till those lands forever and after, and associated with that was the banning of English education. How did you learn English?
I did not I just wanted to say that I did not grow up in West Bengal.
Okay.
I grew up in Jharkhand, therefore I learned English.
Okay.
And just one more thing about my background. I come from the IT department of JU.
Okay.
So I have seen my seniors who have come from West Bengal boards as well. So they struggle with the English education. That is true. I cannot deny that. For the first few years of their academic life, their technical life, they do struggle with their English. But over time, what happens is that English is not rocket science, and I mean there is a concerted effort. I don't know why this is being drilled into the heads of people that unless you learn English, you will not be able to. I mean, it's something very difficult. It's not. I mean, I have people, and I work, and I don't want to brag about myself, but I work in a very very top class software engineering firms. We talk to US people, and there are people from Bihar, from Patna, from other places, Haryana, all those who have studied in government schools, and for all practical purposes, their English is close to zero. I mean, their English aptitude is close to zero.
Yeah.
I can't see why I if you can pick up computer engineering in your bachelor's, you can't pick up Bengal English for that matter.
Yeah.
I studied Hindi in my school days, and I came to Kolkata. I am a Bengali. I came to Kolkata in the 4 years of my technical education at JU. I learned Bengali. I'm able to read Bengali pretty well. I have read on almost all the good works. Probably I have not read Rabindranath end to end, but I have read almost all the good works. So I don't believe that English is sort of the thing. And I will recount to you one more incident. So we used to teach kids, volunteer to teach kids online. And I have taught kids from Rajasthan's preschools, class 6th and 7th standard. So I'll just recount one incident if you allow me. So I was taking a class of class 6, and I told one chap to come up to the board and do a 10 plus 20, that addition, just to gauge what they know.
Yeah.
So that this person started with writing 1. So I was quite happy that he was 1 at least. Then he wrote 1 again. Then he wrote 1 again.
Yeah.
Then he continued to do this for 10 times. And then he repeated that 1 scribbling for 20 times.
Right.
And then he counted that number and arrived at the answer of 30. Okay, that is the position of education in the government schools.
Yeah,
Not only
of course.
Not only in West Bengal, but in other parts of India as well.
Yeah.
So I have taught people in West Bengal as well. It was the TMC regime, but there were 2 good things that I would like to point out. One is the ratio of the girls to boys is considerably higher in West Bengal compared to any places.
Why is that objectively a good thing?
Because objectively speaking, we have almost a gender parity in population. So you would expect that without any aid, when you are catching people right off their in their formative years, you would expect people to participate in equal numbers in class 6 and 7.
But you are not happy with equal. You are saying you are happier because there are more women than men.
No, I am saying that compared to other states,
Okay.
the number was greater in West Bengal compared to other states. I am not saying that the number of girls are greater than number of guys.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
And so, if I agree that English is probably the easiest language I know. So, if English is such an easy language to learn, why did C.P.I.M ban it?
I think I can second guess there are many theories regarding this. I will give you
as an extra reminder, I would like to point out that remember that C.P.I.M had all the biggest academics and intellectuals on their side. People like even Pavitra Sarkar, all of them supported this demand. So it was not like randomly Jyoti Basu came up with this idea one fine morning, right? So why did all of them think that English is such a difficult language that it need not be taught in schools?
So that is, you have already answered the question.
Why?
So, and actually Buddha Babu, and I have posted that interviews, I think, or maybe I haven't. You can, this question was posed to Buddha Babu also in many of the interviews.
He would just go away saying আমাদের ভুল হয়েছিল. So we are sorry.
He didn't say that. I will give you the exact timestamp. He said that this question was already under contest when Congress was there, when they came to power, they laid it out to the people, to the academicians, and they said that for the betterment of the students, easy accessibility, it is better to resort to
So are you
removing.
saying you know more than all those academics, politicians, Pavitra Sarkar, all of whom who said that English is too tough?
I'm not saying that. I'm just
Why not?
saying that at the defense, I cannot get into the minds of the C.P.M workers, just like you cannot get into the minds of Modi.
I
Okay.
can.
Yeah. Sorry?
I can.
Okay. Maybe you have some superpowers which I
Yes.
don't have.
Yes.
What I want to say is that the official stated position is that they had laid out this question to a group of experts, and the group of experts had said that it is better to remove it.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
my reasoning over here is the opportunity cost of this. You know, I would if I was designing the policy in 1970s or 1980s, teachers or my resources to be spent in mathematics, in sciences, rather than teaching English.
Yeah.
And because ultimately it wasn't a globalized world also at that point in time. You don't have TCS coming and hiring. You don't have these people hiring. Mostly these people who will graduate out of this, they will become a cog in the government machinery. Maybe some of them will become scientists. So if I was there, I would also probably go that way. And at any rate, uh, India is a mixed economy. So
Yeah. We'll get to economics a little later. So are
no,
you saying C.P.I.M
let
was
me
wrong to do that?
let me just complete that.
Okay.
India is a mixed economy. If you are in the social strata where you think English education can serve you well, for example, my father wasn't a millionaire. He was a simple businessman. But he made certain sacrifices. He put me into an English medium school. I am thankful for that. So, I mean, it's not like English was clamped down on people. You cannot study. I mean, with the limited resources that we have, we don't offer you English. That's all what I think the stance of C.P.M was.
Okay. Actually, it was crammed down people's throats that you can't teach English, because people who were teaching English out of the benevolence of their hearts, even they were being conspired against, who were teaching English as a tuition.
I mean, what are the numbers? Can you give me some articles? How am I?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, let's
And
discuss this after that.
yeah, and if they were really, so you are saying that they stopped English because they were short on funds, right?
Probably.
Okay, so
And it's not about short of funds also. Even if I have funds, let's say I have 100 rupees to spend, and if I think there I will get a better return on investment by teaching sciences than teaching English, which anyway, if you go to the colleges, you complete your engineering, you complete your medicine, whatever, you will be able to learn that. And I will give you another observation that I have after this. I would still want to invest in teaching sciences and English, sciences and mathematics. Remember, before this NEET and all these came into being, we had quite a few. If you and I think you are older than me, you would be following the news also. A majority of the people who succeeded in the joint entrance examinations came from rural India. So they were in fact getting good, high quality, training in mathematics and your sciences to compete in competitions and score a rank of say 200 among 1 lakh students. I know one such person who is in Bark. He was my tenant. So yeah, that's one point. And one more observation that I just wanted to say. You take a proportion of people who are in the academia, who are Bengali. Okay, and I'm talking about technical education, the IITs, the IIMs, where the major work that these people do is reading uh, literature reviews. That's what they do.
Okay.
Literature reviews. A majority of them come from Bengal. Okay, and some of them are from government and colleges also. You cannot claim that all of the Kolkata boys have made it.
Yeah.
So even if you see similar trends in IIM cats.
Yeah.
Over the last 10 years, I have been tracking it. Every year, one of the 100 percentiles, and English is quite tough there, by the way, come from West Bengal. It is the other exams where you can give your exam in both English and another language, where Bengalis fail to perform. UPSC, our performance has been dismal. There are other government examinations where our performance has been dismal. So when you make the claim that English is the reason why people have gone down the drain, and I don't have hard numbers on that, but this is purely like LinkedIn analysis or whatever. So I can't see that reflected in an estimated data in any way.
When C.P.I.M stopped the English education, are you saying that they actually use that leftover resources to improve science education?
I would believe so, because during those times also, our premier institutions like JU, BESU, they were one of the better institutions in the country.
Yeah.
And since after that we have not seen. I mean, in JU has also slid down the rankings. IIEST is also almost there. I mean, in our organizations, and we don't talk about. I come from the corporate world, so I know which institutions are making mark right. So these institutions are dwindling. I mean, they're the only reason why people you would see people talk about it a lot is because they are highly subsidized. At least JU is highly subsidized. That is the only reason why even I feel sorry for my alma mater for that sake. But that's what my
so in what way did C.P.I.M improve the STEM fundings in primary schools by saving up the money by not teaching English? Did they increase the salaries of science teachers? In what way did that happen?
Yeah, I believe that, and I know this, that C.P.I.M was able to build the largest network of schools, and in West Bengal. And again, I don't know why I have to I am batting for the C.P.I.M anyway. But then let's put the facts. They had the maximum number of primary schools, and we had a couple of 2 or 3 good institutions in West Bengal. And since there were more schools, automatically you were teaching them maths and science, and the penetration was larger. They may not have increased the salaries of teachers, but the overall exposure or the penetration of that has.
So you are saying that the money saved from not teaching English was spent on opening more schools.
I don't have the hard figures, but I would think that would.
Okay. So if all those schools also are of a low quality, because we are prioritizing quantity over quality here, what kind of students do you think came out of those schools? What subjects they were usually good in? Where did they get jobs in? Why did all of them need to become teachers and professors and not become engineers in the market?
No, I would like to correct you on that. Bengalis have been behind in one aspect, which is becoming bureaucrats, and second is becoming businessmen. As far as engineers are concerned, I don't see a dearth of Bengali engineers in any field. I mean,
Yeah.
in
How many of them are from government schools and studied in the government schools when there was no English?
I don't have the hard facts, but I can assure you that there were quite a few. We can go back and forth on this. You also don't have the numbers. I also don't have the numbers. I am talking about my experiential understanding over here, and there is one video I would forward it to you also, where Shekhar Gupta is interviewing Buddhadev, and he says that at I think it was Narayan Murthy. He said that quite a few, I mean, around during those times, quite a few, like 40 to 50% of the engineers in his organizations came from West Bengal.
Okay.
So,
And what did the students who studied in the private schools where they did learn English, where did they go?
so there is no debating the fact that if you who learn a language in addition, if I learn German, for example, it will be beneficial, right? I can do Dankeschön, and I can do all.
So you are saying that learning English was beneficial, but non-learning English was not a disadvantage.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
Okay.
non-learning in English is always a disadvantage.
Okay.
But learning other subjects, it's just the opportunity cost. Would you rather teach someone English, or would you rather teach someone math, science, practical skills, vocational education?
Yeah, I would teach them English if they had to do the maths in English and say the word maths, not onko.
We can go back and forth on this, but I sincerely believe that the principles of mathematics don't change with the scribe in
Of
which
course,
you are
yes,
writing.
absolutely. Which is why Raja Rammohn Roy should not have opposed the Sanskrit college as well. Everything should have been taught in Sanskrit. But anyway, if the English education, we had to prioritize teaching everything else other than English in more schools than other states, why do you think the funds were running out? Why couldn't we teach English as well as teach everything else?
Because India and West Bengal is a poor place, and West Bengal is very, I mean, it has an enormous density of population. There are similar other states, Punjab, Haryana, with similar resources, but the population density is not quite as much. So catering to so many people, and then there is the added load of people. Other states did not have to face 1971. They did not have to face the burden of partition, but we did. So it's not you cannot compare. It's not an apples to apples comparison anyway.
So what was the solution? The solution could not have been making the place richer.
When did I claim that?
Because you defended them being happy with poverty.
When did I say that?
Because you said that they were poor, so they couldn't afford English education. They couldn't afford to hire teachers for English.
I mean, India in general was poor.
But India in general did not ban English. Only C.P.I.M did, and only 1982.
We had that. That's what I wanted to say. That people, the density of population in West Bengal was quite a lot.
Yeah. So how do we handle density of population? And how do we handle the poverty of the density of population? By making them even worse educated.
When did I say that again?
Because you're defending the worse education.
I'm not saying I have never defended worst education.
You just explained that why C.P.I.M could not afford the English education.
I mean, you are putting words into my mouth. I never said C.P.I.M wanted worst education or something like that.
Okay. What should have C.P.I.M done instead? If you were C.P.I.M in 1982, let's say today you are the Chief Minister of West Bengal. You have traveled in a time machine. We are in 1982 West Bengal. How do we afford English education?
How do we afford English education? There are a number of ways you can do that or choose not to do that. It's upon the, you could have brought in, let's say, what could you have done? You could have lobbied with the central government. That's one thing.
Why couldn't they?
How do I know? I'm just
How
saying
could Narendra Modi do it when they were not in center?
I am not just let me tell you, I am not a C.P.I.M supporter.
But if you say that you think C.P.I.M was wrong to do all of that, then we don't have anything to debate. But you are saying that they were not really wrong, or they shouldn't be blamed for doing that. Therefore, I'm pushing you on that.
No, I am not saying that they were right or wrong. I am just saying that this might have been a probable reason and to ban English.
Do you know that the intellectuals who defended the idea of not teaching English, they never brought up funds as a problem. They said that it's too tough.
I think toughness is a corollary of funds.
The fund crunch was not from the parents' side, right? The fund crunch was from the government side, and the tough was for the students. Obik Sharkar was saying that it's too tough for the students. Therefore, let's not teach them.
Yeah. What I want to say is that no matter how tough a problem is, if you have enough funds, you can ease that to a large extent.
And why do you think those funds decreased in 1982, from even though people were coming in from 71?
No, I never said that. What I said was, and this is the stated position, that before 1970s, before the C.P.I.M came into power, the proposal was already there. So, how do you even claim that the funds, the funds could have decreased, but you get my point, right?
When the proposal was there, it was not executed, right? Because the funds were there. Because the proposal came from Congress, who had a Fabian socialist prime minister.
No, the proposal could not have been executed due to n number of reasons. Maybe
one of them being that they don't want to execute it because, after all, English education might be a good thing.
That could be one of the reasons.
Yes. So
there could be other reasons as well.
Okay.
We have not done an explicit reading of the literature of that.
I have actually. You can check my live stream. A Commie professor from University of Cambridge has done research, has written a paper on this exact topic. That's why I'm quoting you facts from randomly here and there.
Yeah. So can you give? So then we are not debating with equal, information.
Yeah.
Right. So if you allow, you can forward the paper. I'll give it a read and put markers
fair enough.
on that, and we can debate again.
Yeah. So to move on from this topic, as closing statement for just this topic, was banning of English education wrong or a right thing to do?
Do you think any social policies can be characterized as objectively right and objectively wrong?
If you're not a dedicated supporter of a political party, then yes. Like I would say, Narendra Modi giving out Ladli Behna is a wrong thing.
Okay. But do you think
Lokhir Bhandar is also a wrong thing?
Is there a possibility of putting a score out of 10? Like how wrong?
How wrong and how right?
Yes.
Go ahead. Let me hear your number. What it has to be in comparison to something, because it was either wrong or right. It either did good things for the state or did bad things for the state.
It did good things for the state. It did bad things for the state. Again, I just quoted you my experience in observing people in different professions. So
then why did your father send you to an English medium school?
My father sent me to an English medium school because with some adjustments he could afford it.
Yeah, and if he couldn't afford it, where would you be? In the same position?
No, if he couldn't afford it, he would send me to the next best possible
Of course.
place where you can learn, say, maths and English.
Yeah. Would you be in the same position today?
I
With the
believe
exact same clothes in that exact same room?
I believe so. I'll give you an example. I have a co-worker. She has studied in government school. There is no, there is no IQ marker that between me and her where she scores above me. We work in the same organization. It took her. I would grant you one thing. It took her a couple of years more to get to the position where I am. She has probably lost out on 5 lakhs, 10 lakh rupees she could have saved if she had got to my company earlier.
Okay.
That I will grant you.
Okay.
But it is not that, it is not a case that she would be nowhere without or had she learned English, she would have far outshone me or something like that.
Yeah. How do you know she couldn't have?
Because I work with her on day to day. I understand, and her other. So let us take this into perspective. So she learned mathematics. I also learned mathematics. If we sit for the same aim test, let us, for the sake of argument, let the paper be set in Bengali only. I have never studied Bengali. Let's have a competition. Let's see who comes.
What if because of learning English, she fell in love with the English subject itself? What if she became the greatest English poet of all time?
That could be a possibility, but
all I'm asking you to consider is that you more options and more avenues were open for you because your father could afford it, versus that woman whose father could not afford it. You denied many your support for this party, denied many avenues to many people. And therefore, is it wrong or right?
I agree with whatever you say.
Okay, moving on. So,
no,
okay.
Just a moment. But I will not give my conclusion on whether this is right or wrong. Because you have to consider that if they had taught English, you cannot argue the counterfactual, and you have to also consider the opportunity cost. I have been in,
the only reason I'm not taking that opportunity cost seriously is because they shot themselves in the foot. If they were not commies, if they were free market people, if they were Narendra Modi, they would have brought so much investment in the state that everyone could learn German, Hebrew, English, everything in West Bengal, because West Bengal and Kolkata was a very prosperous state. You can't get sympathy for becoming poor after applying communist policies.
I agree with you, but I disagree.
Therefore, I can't take seriously that opportunity cost issue. It was
no.
They themselves shot themselves in the foot.
No, there is one addendum I want to add.
Okay.
Here, is that were they allowed to do so? That is also a question.
Who?
Because this is a period pre-liberalization that you are talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, pre-liberalization. How many the license Raj thing, right?
Yeah.
How many investment and how which state has chased foreign capital?
Maharashtra, Karnataka, Pune, Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, all these cities.
Before liberalization,
Kolkata was the only one in decline from a very top spot. No one else was in such a decline from a very top spot.
I am not talking about decline. I am talking about whether they were able to chase foreign capital.
Yes. Why can't you chase your India's capital?
India's capital, again, there is license Raj is there, right?
Why wasn't anyone else going to that decline?
Why wasn't there? Could be n number of reasons.
Yes, the n number of reason is communism and socialism.
That is your perspective.
Okay.
Because
now, why didn't they change their ways after 1991? The excuse runs only till from 82 to 1991. In 82, they banned the English education. In 1991, they were free to do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, then they reversed the policies.
When?
In 1994, they came out with the new economic policies, and after that.
After that, what happened?
After that, most of the things got reversed.
What things got reversed?
In 2010, we had the maximum, direct investment in the state.
How many years come between 2010 and 1994?
How is that even important? Because I'm talking about numbers like in comparison to other states as well.
Yeah.
In comparison to other states, we were having more investments in 2010.
In 2010?
Yes.
Compared to Gujarat?
I don't know. I'm
then compared to which state? Odisha or Bihar?
Yeah. Why not? We can't. We should compare with states with equal or similar density of population.
No, we should not compare ourselves with states which were poor even before us. When we were rich, back then also they were poor. When we became poor, they were still poor. So we can't compare ourselves to those states. That would be like India saying that we are a great country only because we are better than Pakistan.
I agree, but I can assure you that we were among the top 5 or top 6, and there are many rich states in India. And I will give you the exact figures next time I come. Next time, if you are kind to invite me, I will come up with the exact figures and I will tell you.
Yeah. In 2010, when the Shingur things were going on, Shingur Andolan was going on, why did Buddhadev Bhattacharya let Trinamool take over the movement? Why couldn't he execute on his dreams?
I don't know whether he let her take over the movement.
Why didn't he beat her up and kick her away from the protests?
Why is that a sane thing to do?
Because you are trying to save your state? Finally? After 30 years and all sorts of excuses? N number of excuses? Is you being nice to Mamata Banerjee more important or the state going to hell more significant?
No, the methods should align with democratic principles.
Okay, so what democratic principles were in place when Jyoti Basu murdered the Congress people on 21st July? Jyoti Basu's police. When Mamata Banerjee was being dragged around by her hair.
First of all, I am not very aware of what happened.
This is the 21st July thing, when they were trying to get out Writers' Building.
What happened was that these Trinamooli people, they were trying to protest, Congress. Protest about voter cards. Why? Voter cards is something that the Election Commission should be concerned with, right? Why were they even trying to go to the writers?
Fair enough. So, how did Jyoti Basu handle it?
Depends upon the media reports that you read. I was not
okay, so is gherawing Writers' Building a bigger threat to the state or shutting down the Shingur factory a bigger threat to the state?
You could argue either way. You
Why?
could say that.
What was the worst thing that was going to happen if they reached Writers' Building? And what was the worst thing that happened because Shingur got shut down?
They could have, taken over the Writers' Building.
And what would the police and Indian Army do? What would Congress do in the center? Say, yeah, great, Baba. I give you Ashirwad.
The same thing could be told about Shingur as well, right?
What?
That there were Naxalites who were protesting, killing people.
Yeah.
And they were able to even bomb Buddhadev almost.
Yeah.
But what happened to them? Some of them are still in Trinamool.
Yeah.
They got away with it.
Yeah. Why couldn't...
do you agree or not that they got away with it?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So you could get away by attacking the writers also.
Oh, how? If they were going to run the government, sooner or later you would have to sit down in the office every morning, right?
Yeah, sooner or later you could have also...
When did that letter come for Shingur Andolan?
Which letter?
The sooner or later that people were going to be kicked out, when did that letter come about? It never came, right?
No, then C.P.I.M then lost power. It didn't have the wherewithal.
When did the Andolan start? In which year?
As far as I remember, it was in 2006.
Yeah. When did they go out of power?
They went out of power in 2011.
What were they doing for
lost-
5 years?
They lost the panchayats in 2009.
What were they doing for
lost-
3 years?
They lost the Lok Sabha in 2009.
What were they doing for 3 years?
3 years is not a very long time either.
How long does it take up to beat up Mamata Banerjee?
Are you really advocating beating up?
No, I'm asking that if Jyoti Basu could do it for protecting the writers' building, why couldn't Buddhadev Bhattacharya do it for protecting the state?
Why do you think that I agree with Jyoti Basu's principles of beating up people?
Because you are a supporter of C.P.I.M or a fan of
Again,
Buddhadev Bhattacharya?
Again, I am not. Again, I am just saying that I am not. I'm not a spokesperson of CPI.
Okay.
Just like
So,
you're not a
so just have great
spokesperson
plans
of
and never
the-
execute.
Great plans and never execute. What do you mean by that?
A
Like
novel
that-
plan like the Tata factory.
We did execute,
Where?
and we lost the government in the.
What's the
process
definition of execution?
Execution is anything where you try to materialize something.
Trying effort is not execution. Then
Effort
Congress would
is
be the king of executions.
Effort is execution.
No.
Yes.
You getting down on the floor is a push-up, or completing the push-up is a push-up?
Those are two different things.
Why?
Because so let me tell you something about my experience in corporate. You often execute on projects. The projects fail. It doesn't mean you don't get it.
When you execute a project and it fails, it means the analogy for that would be Shingur factory running, but then they are creating so bad factories that cars that no one is buying those cars, and the factory goes tits up.
No, nothing like that. Sometimes you work.
That's the
on
exact
something
analogy you gave.
No,
That you completed the project or not.
No.
After that it
sometimes
failed.
No.
Did you give an incomplete project which failed?
Yeah, you sometimes have to submit incomplete projects. Business priorities change. A lot of things happen.
When do
Shit
you
happens.
give an incomplete project to your boss?
Oh, many times.
And what do you tell him? This is an incomplete project. Take it anyway.
I have got promoted for an incomplete project.
Why?
Let me tell you. Because I had put in the effort, and I had put in the efforts, but the business priorities were different. So I am a developer. I can only do my job.
Yeah.
Okay, I cannot tell what is good for the business.
Let's get back to the analogy now.
Yeah.
What was Buddhadev's job?
Buddhadev's job was attracting capital.
How did he attract
And
it?
he lobbied with various people.
Okay.
He talked to various people. He brought the capital. He got the land also almost, and then
Land also almost. That's also execution.
Yeah.
Okay. What is not execution? What would it take for you to call it not an execution? Where would Buddhadev have to stop for you to call it not an execution and just an effort?
I would say what the present chief minister does: bring people, have lunch, say
Okay.
goodbye. That's not execution.
In terms of
I would also concede that things like signing memorandum of understandings,
it's not legally binding anyway, so MOUs don't matter.
So those things also don't count as execution.
Yeah. Absolutely
That's
not.
my definition. You can have your own definition.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just Google the definition of execution for a while. I don't think you will be able to view the definition. Execution. The act or process of executing. What's the full meaning of execution? The carrying out or undergoing of a sentence of death. Okay, they are talking about Phansi ka fanda, so there's no point looking this up. Anyway.
Yeah, that could be a good, allegory of what happened to C.P.I.M after that.
Okay. In terms of an actual factory not running, why do Mamata Banerjee and Buddhadev Bhattacharya seem to be on the same boat?
Hey, just 1 second. Quick time check. It's 1:16. I had asked. I had come here to ask a very different question.
Okay.
Ever since that, you have been barraging me with questions, and
What was your question? Why did BJP give the Bharat Ratna to Karpuri Maharaj?
No.
Then?
His name is Karpuri Thakur.
Okay.
By the way, and it's not simply that question. The question is that do you agree or disagree that sometimes BJP is, and you seem to be a pro right winger, that's fine. Do you think that sometimes BJP takes up policy decisions which even left governments would be, gloating over?
Yeah,
As far
mostly.
As how left it is.
Yeah, of course. Ladli Behna is a leftist policy.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah. So then we have a common point over.
Okay. Yeah. It's not that I'm fan of BJP just because they are officially a right wing party. No, it's all issue based. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think whatever you feel about BJP, I feel the same thing about C.P.I.M. Let's end it on that.
But Narendra Modi executes factories according to the English definition of executes. Factories actually run. Cars actually come out of those factories. Smokes come up.
By the way, even after your Google search, you couldn't find a definition that can dumb me down.
Yeah, because I was looking at sentences and punishments. The other definitions of execution did not come up at a quick search.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks
Suryashish.
a lot.
Good night.
Thanks a lot, Neeraj.
Yeah. Okay. What the hell is he talking about? Let's see. He'll probably check the comment section. कॉपी में इनकम्प्लीट काम करने के लिए तो कभी टीचर ने तारीफ नहीं की. Just because you're a developer doesn't mean you don't have ownership of the project or company. Useless debate. Then you don't care what company revenue when company revenue falls. But he got apparently a promotion. C.P.I.M Bhakti, खुद रखो iPhone headphone, बाकी सबको लाल सलाम. Yeah, dude, that is not an incomplete project. That is an incompatible project. That's a cop out, multiple goalpost shifting and self contradictions. अरे भाई जाने दो इसको. More successful. So does that mean Congress succeeded because Swachh Bharat was that is not execution? Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan failed but Swachh Bharat succeeded. आज नहीं तो 6-12 महीनों में. There's some kind of stupid nostalgia with Congress and as Hindu it gets. Yeah, this was a very weird, fun conversation. I can come online if you want. Yeah, let's do this. Let's have all sorts of funny things happen today. M. Shastri was going to come on our podcast anyway. With M. Shastri, we are going to have a discussion about, let's see, maybe a bit of urban Hindutva. Okay, so M. Shastri, I will tell you the, I will tell you the, what's it called, URL, okay? meet.google.com/IRH-BKZV-BFZ. I'll copy paste the thing here as well. Oh, Odin is also here. Okay, now I can't discriminate between people. So M. Shastri said it first, so I'll just have him here. The first mover advantage. This was a fun conversation. Yeah, सबको 15 minutes समय दे दो. Yeah, I think that works. Long haunting of Jyotibasu Shastra. Okay. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
I don't have a camera on me, so
Okay.
apologize.
Yeah. So, Mr. Shastra, we are doing it for 15 minutes. After that, we will have some other members of our channel as well come on. Today, this is a sudden surprising thing that's going on.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, how long have you been outside the country, outside India?
I would probably say 15 years now.
So, you are pretty older than me. How old are you?
I'd probably be. I was born in the 80s, like early to mid 80s.
Lol.
So yeah, I've seen both the pre-liberalization phase and the post-liberalization phase and the millennial phase of India. So I think I have a pretty good handle of like
Yeah.
what India is like, how it's evolved.
I asked you your age because you keep calling me Dada. Actually, in Bengali, Dada means elder brother. So I assume
I know.
you are younger than me.
But sometimes age doesn't matter, right? Your intellect matters much more than your age does.
Okay. What do you think of the conversation we just had?
I think I'll put it this way. It was kind of like your first time going to therapy, right? And you are like an anti-communist therapist, like a de-radicalization specialist or something, and you're just trying to break down his like basic tenets, like what his basic beliefs, and try to highlight all the contradictions coming out of it. Maybe if he had a follow-up, maybe then he can basically be like, oh, I thought about all the contradictions you pointed out. What am I doing with myself or something like that?
This was pretty surreal and pretty weird. So, how do you see the NRIs in the West? Are they an united lot?
So it's interesting, right? So I think we have a bit of a generational problem here among the NRIs as well, right? So you can think about NRIs as being three separate generations. There's the pre-liberalization generation, there is the .com generation, and there's the post.com generation, right? Each one of them has like a different worldview or a different perspective on India. That's usually defined by when they left India, right? So the pre-liberalization folks, I mean, they're kind of pretty old now.
Yeah.
Their kids, they're into the second or third generation
Right.
now, right? Their kids are heavily inspired by the Nehruvian consensus, right? So you have, and their kids are now scholars as well, right?
Yeah.
So you have Manjari Chatterjee Miller, right? She's probably second or third gen
Right.
pre-liberalization NRI, and she's like a pakka Nehruvian, right? And you have the .com folks who are like kind of in the middle, right? So you have your typical secularist kind of types, and they're also like the deracinated kind of like South Bombay
Right.
Lutyens kind of public, right?
Yeah.
So the big generational money, they came in during the .com boom because they had the money to come here. But the newer post.com generation, that is like the late 2000, the global financial crisis generation, they are much more interesting, right? I think they have a lot more confidence about themselves. They're also quite independent, and most of them are realists. They change their perspective based on what they see and what informs them. So not everything is set in stone. But I think what's interesting is that the upcoming generation is probably going to be the most interesting lot coming in, right?
Even
Because
among NRI kids.
Yes, even among NRI kids.
I see.
I think for the first time among the diaspora, we are actually seeing real diversity in perspectives.
I see.
Right? I'm only talking about North America,
Right.
but I think it could be applicable in other places as well.
Okay.
So typically, like say in the US, right? If you are a NRI, you would automatically just vote for the Democrat Party, right? Whether you like their policies or not, you just do it because it was basically out of sort of like a racial solidarity, right? Your Democrat Party was kind of like, oh, we love you, brown people, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Republicans were kind of like, oh, we love you, brown people, but you need to embrace Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But this upcoming generation, you have both, let's call them Hindu socialists, you have Hindu liberals, you have Hindu conservatives, you have Hindu Democrats, and Hindu Republicans. So you have the whole spectrum as well. And each one of them has, like, going from one, let's call it, political group to another, you might have varying amounts of Hindutva.
Yeah.
Right. So it's quite surprising that you'll find pakka Hindu socialists, right? And they're also 100% Hindutva. So it's sort of become like Hindutva is not an ideology that has a specific like economic axis, but
Yeah.
it definitely has a ethnic dimension.
Yeah. That's all Savarkar wanted. What's the age group of these people? This latest generation of diverse NRIs?
Are college going students, right?
Okay. So for that, I wanted to...
I would probably say 18 to 26, 25.
I see. Are they mostly from private schools of USA or government schools, public schools?
It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
How are they not woke?
I mean, see, every school or college you go to, you're going to encounter some amount of wokeness, right?
Yeah.
So you need to realize one thing is that unlike, say, universities in India, where public universities, they tend to be breeding grounds for future politicians and mass leaders, right? That's not the case in the US.
But what about the public school? If you studied your entire life in public schools, you did not you get a much larger dose of wokeism than if you studied in private school, right?
Okay, so let me explain the education system here first, right? I think there's a little bit of a confusion here. So your basic education from class 1 to class 12 is all public, all government funded, typically local government funded. But they don't set the syllabus. I mean, in the sense like the government doesn't prescribe you a textbook and says you should be assessed based on the textbook. The government prescribes a syllabus and then says students should be tested on their proficiency as per the syllabus, right? They need to know X, Y, Z things. They don't go into the details of minutia. So it's up to the local principal and the school board to basically select textbooks for you, select curriculum for you, and they do the assessment, right? And the school board is usually democratically elected. So your local parents actually have a say in what gets added into your school board.
Okay.
So just because you go to a public school doesn't mean you get imbibed in Democrat ideology, or if it's a Republican government, you get imbibed in Republican ideology. It doesn't work like that.
So you are saying that the neighborhood matters?
Yes.
But the kind of school Vivek went to, that obviously had absolutely no ounce of wokeism, right?
See, I think wokeism doesn't come. I think it's a little bit complicated, right? So
yeah, how much of, by wokeism I mean how much of gender, homosexuality you are taught, how much of sex education, how much of people being transgender, etc. Those were not taught in the private school that Vivek Ramaswamy studied in.
So
the Christian private schools.
I mean, private school exists, right? But
yeah.
it's like 90% of people just go to public schools. So that's the one that matters the most, right?
Yes.
And sex ed, irrespective of which school you go to, was always there, right? But trans is the new addition to it. So they would always teach you what safe sex is, right? Your teacher would come into the classroom with a banana just to show you how to wear a condom.
Yeah.
So
what about free distribution of condoms?
I have not seen anything freely distributed in the United States or Canada or it's usually not a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, in colleges, definitely college campuses do have free condoms, but they're not that great. I can tell by experience.
So these kids then are basically the NRI kids who are not woke are basically products of the neighborhood they grew up in, or just their parentage? If their parents are not even that Hindutvadi, how are they becoming Hindutvadi then?
Parents.
I see.
Parents, and I'll put it this way. I think Modi has brought in a sense of pride.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that India is rising, we are solving problems, we are showing progress itself brings you a sense of pride, right? Then you get more closely associated with your culture. Now, I'll put I wouldn't just say it's just Modi, right?
Okay. Yeah.
It's just the overall environment. So um, Indians have actually, as a community, risen through the what do you call that? The income ladder quite dramatically and quite quickly, right? We're basically very hardworking people, and we thrive in competition. If you live in India, there's no way you can avoid competition, right?
Yeah.
So you come here, you have greater resources. We just naturally go like, oh, things are easier. I can work faster, better, more
Yeah.
productively, right? We just need to catch up, fix the knowledge gap.
Hmm.
But once you've done that, then you're all the way ahead because you already have the work ethic and the hard working and everything else.
Yeah.
So with folks rising up the income ladder, becoming more resourceful, has imbibed a sense of like pride within the community. So you had first was Satya Nadella becoming Microsoft's CEO, Sundar Pichai becoming Google's CEO. You had a lot of like C-suite folks being occupied by Indians. People were performing really well. Indians were becoming a public face in a lot of like TV, right? Like in Bloomberg, you'd have Indian presenters. You wouldn't see that, right? And so that naturally added to a sense of pride and confidence about your culture, your work ethic, your values, and especially your parenting. And here's the thing, like everybody, we've been sort of labeled as a model minority here.
Yeah.
And everybody, including Democrats, have been saying like, oh,
Yeah.
we should look at how Indians parent their kids or something
Yeah.
like that. So it was just a combination of things. It's not just Modi, but there were a lot of other things also contributing to it.
Okay, so we need to wrap this up quickly. Last two questions. First, I'll take one question from the live chat. They're asking you, ask him, do third, fourth generation onwards, do NRIs maintain identities like Gotra, Kula, Jati, Varna, or they mix in and the Hindu identity is gone for NRIs?
It's gone.
Right.
It's gone, right? For them, culture is much more important than your Jati, Kula, whatever, right?
Of course.
They don't understand the Jati Kula stuff at all. They're very confused about it, to be honest. But it's more like, oh, tu Indian hai, main Indian hu, theek hai, bas ho gaya, right? So, and I think there is obviously some amount of, like with any relationship, there's some amount of negotiations going on.
Yeah.
Right? Even in say Maharashtra, which has probably like 40% of all marriages in Maharashtra are intercaste, and it's an undercount, right? Even there, like between castes, they do negotiate like whose traditions they take over. Those negotiations happen all the time.
Yeah. Now, okay, the last question. Did you also have a change of views to shift more towards Hindutva?
I'm obviously, right.
When? How?
The 2010s were quite rough here in North America. The folks were mistaking Indians for Pakistanis, right? There was that thing.
Yeah.
Plus, Indian men were constantly labeled as rapists because the Delhi rape case was blowing up. The incompetence of the Indian government was there for everybody to see. So there was a natural kind of anger towards the incompetence of India, right?
I see.
Even with Modi, the pride that you see with India right now did not occur suddenly in 2014. People were carefully observing what he was up to. I think his the Indo-Phil sentiment actually blew up after 2019. That's my read.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for joining us, Lib Shastri, and hope to see you in the live chat now. And we'll have someone else now. We'll have Orin now if he's here. Is he here? We don't know. Okay, and we'll have a full podcast with you some other time. Okay.
Sounds
Bye
good.
bye. Yeah. Thank you for joining.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dev Patel is a Gangadin. This was the point I was making, Shambhai. Okay, where is Odin? If Odin is not here, let Abhay. Abhay, you are saying you want to come. Who is this? Agnostic observer is Abhay or Odin? No one knows. I don't know if it's someone random going to show us our dick, show us his dick. Who are you, agnostic observer? Hello, you are muted.
Hey, Niranjan.
Hi, who are you?
Audit.
Oh, hi. We are going to discuss Tantra now a bit.
You want to? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
Actually,
or you can first start off by commenting what you thought of the
first
debate with the
let
Commie.
me start with a complaint to you first,
Yeah.
right? Your
Okay.
members on the podcast, members on the book readings of Savarkar and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Change the settings to the things of like your normal live streams, right? Change the settings to that for the members only also. Otherwise, what happens is that I have to keep the video open continuously. It does not play in the background like YouTube mobile
Fuck.
premium. YouTube premium has mobile feature that you can
Yeah.
minimize the video. It plays on the back.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen on the members only. Check your settings
I
somewhat.
see. Okay, I'll check that. Okay.
Okay. So, what do you want to talk about?
What did you think of the conversation with that little comic kid? What is execution?
He knows a bit here and there somewhat. He has his mindset, but he does not have the articulation, first of all, and then the depth of understanding in his subject that he was talking about. That's what I felt. He was confused between things here and there. Then, when he was talking about execution, yes, execution does mean that when you do something, means, but what he was considering execution was the tactical level execution, and what you were talking about, or what we were understanding about, was the complete strategic level execution. Right. What he was talking about is that okay, in the entire strategy of industrializing single, there are certain processes that the government, right? So, allocation of land, one process, legal tendering, one process, negotiating the money, one process. Yes, those things were executed, but overall industrialization, was that executed or not?
Yeah.
Did that complete or not? That was not done, right? So that he did not understand. He was far more focused on the definition of execution. So,
where did this definition of execution come from? I've never heard of this. When did effort become equal to execution? Execution means completing the job.
No. Effort is not execution.
Yes.
In a bigger process, suppose there is a bigger project that you will take on. There are smaller parts of that project.
Right.
We call that tactical project processes.
So he's talking about executing one portion.
Exactly.
Like laying one brick in the factory. He's executing the factory.
Yeah. Allocating the land. Okay, that process has been executed.
Okay.
Does that mean the factory and the single got industrialized? No.
This is weird.
That's not what happens. So
yeah.
These kind of confusions are there.
So how did you come to know things like Indic texts, scriptures, tantra, etc.? What is your upbringing in that?
I wouldn't say I was brought up in a non-believing family or that, but it was not that much of a faithful family. Also, we have regular Saraswati. We used to have regular Saraswati puja in our home, but not any ladies in our home does regular pujas with our normal way of Nitya Puja and all that stuff, but not any special religious kind of things.
Okay.
But it was not anti-religious also. So from my grandfather, paternal grandfather, I did learn about some of the Puranas and all those things.
I see.
There were books of Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Puranas in home, so I read that very early on. But I was very childish at the time. I read it as a normal storybook. I was not that much impacted or understood the impact of those things at that point of time. Later on, when I went to college, there
Are you
was
one moment, Orin? Are you speaking from your headphones mic?
yeah.
I think it's moving around too much.
Okay, is it? Okay, I will keep
See if you can hold it
still.
still and speak.
Yeah. So let me just go away. Is it better now?
Yeah, go ahead.
So when I went to my college, then around second or third year, I saw a video of a American gentleman who was explaining Hinduism to the American people, and
Okay.
surprisingly, the American people that he was explaining to were very old people. There was no
Yeah.
young man in that crowd
Yeah.
because people do get uh, uh, tired, means people don't get attracted in their young age to Hinduism the
Yes.
way it is propagated.
Yeah.
Because you see, Hinduism, I'll take a little bit of diversion. In my studies of Hinduism, whatever I have done, I'm not that scholarly like others here. So I have understood that Hinduism is not only spirituality. There are three main aspects of Hinduism. If you want to call it Hinduism, first of all, this particular Bharatiya Dharma, it has three aspects. One talks about your Atma Paramatma Sambandh, or the
Okay.
Paramarthik thing. Another talks about the material things, proper material sciences,
Right.
physics, chemistry, biology, rasayana, Padartha Vigyan, Jyotisha, not the astrological Jyotish, astronomical Jyotish, biology, Ayurveda, those things. They're very materialistic. They don't have any mention of gods that much. They're completely materialistic.
I
Third thing
see.
is the Adi Daivik part, which talks about your uh, governance principle, where the Dharma Shastras come into play. Because you see, in our context of traditional context, the word Dharma Shastra is very specific to a particular set of books. It does not talk about, this does not mean all the Shastras in Hindu, so-called Hindu Dharma library.
I see.
They are, they start with Manusmriti, end with Chanakya.
Okay.
It's all about
Yeah.
governance.
Yes.
Parasara, Jagyavalkya, Atreyi, all those Prajapati Rachita जितने भी ये होते हैं ना the books basically the texts, those are called Dharma Shastra. That's the P.V. Kane's history of Dharma Shastra and all. That's what he explains. There are many. Whereas the Paramarthik textile goes towards Vedanta, and your this Bhautik text goes towards Charvak and all those. Anyways, coming back to the main point. So there, I heard him talk about dharma, karma, and all those. Now, as a Bengali, I know that those are not the correct words. Because in Sanskrit, you need to understand, when you add a particular syllable, it completely changes the meaning.
Yeah.
Right. So when you say dharma, it's a different thing. When you say dharma, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Like dharma means the that which sustains, whereas dharma means that who sustains, the upholder, not the concept.
Yeah.
It's a person.
Yeah.
So in that context shifts. So then I tried to comment and interact, but he was a professor, so I don't think he was interested in listening.
Yeah.
Then I started to indulge in the text and all those things. So there, that's how it started almost 10, 15 years back, and recently I stumbled upon into Tantra, and it is massively fascinating.
Yeah.
The thing that is shunned by the current society is the most core part of the tradition, if I may say.
Yeah.
Because any logic that you want, why this is this way, You'll find it in Tantra. It
Which
will not.
texts specifically?
There are many, to be honest. I don't follow any text, to be honest. I follow a guru.
Oh,
I have
okay,
a
okay.
teacher of mine.
Okay.
He with him, it's like we discuss continuously why things are like this, why Chanakya talks about certain things, why Ramchandra did what he did, what was the background of it. So those things comes into play. And, I remember from one of your live streams a few days back, you mentioned that you had a Kalesh with the that gentleman who talked about Tantra previously when you asked him that what about people who misuses the power of Tantra?
Yeah.
Right. So the answer to that is Tantra doesn't restrict you. You can misuse it, but or more specifically, it is that you can use it the way you want.
Yeah.
The Tantra will not stop you because understand tantric texts or tantric processes are like a knife.
Yeah.
It has its purpose. You can use it to kill someone. You can use it to cut some sores or use it for benevolent purposes also. That's why whenever you see a tantric text, Shiva first Shiva at the starting, whether he's talking to his the Saptarshi or to Devi, always mentions keep it secret. Don't give it to means unworthy personnel.
Yeah.
The restrictions comes there.
Yeah.
Now the question comes that what if you use tantric processes or tantric siddhis in a wrong way? Tantra will not shun you. The society will shun you. It's the society's responsibility. It's a different section altogether, section of books or section of niti altogether, which is supposed to handle that situation.
I see.
That's the nature of it.
Right.
That is also tantra. That comes under Raj Tantra.
I see.
This comes under your understanding of things, and you can learn how to wield a sword and all that. But difference is, will you wield a sword in a war or will you wield a sword in your house? If
Yeah.
you wield a sword in your house, then the king will give you punishment.
Yeah.
If you wield a sword in the battlefield, the
Yeah.
king will praise you. That's the samajik part of it.
Yeah.
What is accepted and what is not.
Yeah.
So,
okay, then, Arinda, we have to wrap it up. But before that, 2 questions from the audience for you. First is, ask him, is there good translation and commentary on these Dharmashastras? I only found Medhatithi commentary on Manusmriti.
Medhatithi is good. P.V. Kane is good.
But
But
that is the 8
don't.
volume one, right? No one will ever finish
Yeah.
it.
What do you expect? It kind of starts with Manu, if you want to believe,
8
and
volumes,
ends
yeah.
with Chanakya. It's
Yeah.
almost 5,000 years of governance text.
Yeah.
How
And
can
even
you concise it?
even P.V. Kane's text is basically a concise version.
Exactly. If you want to start, I would suggest that start with Arthashastra. Understand Arthashastra very well.
Exactly.
Very specifically understand what does Marx and Nyaya means and why you should strive away from it and what are the basic principles. If you understand why does Chanakya says that to stay away from Marx and Nyaya, you have to implement Satya and Ahimsa. Because understand this Marx and Nyaya concept, Chanakya gives the name to Marx and Nyaya, but the concept comes very prior to it. In Mahabharata, when you see Yudhishthira talking to Yaksha, in that where his brothers are dead and all that stuff, at the end, Yaksha asks him, what type of kingdom do you want to create? Yudhishthira's response is that a kingdom where a weak person does not feel fear while standing near a strong person. What is Marxian Nyaya? Where powerful oppresses the weak. That is Marxian Nyaya. If you create a society where a weak person feels secure when standing near a strong person,
Right.
that is avoiding Marxian Nyaya.
How much detail has Chanakya gone into this? Because this sentence can be easily misconstrued to justify communism now.
Not really.
Because
Not really.
they would argue that
How?
everyone is feeling oppressed all the time. So let's have communism now.
Communists are the biggest oppressors.
Yes, they would say
How?
they did it for a good thing.
Okay, you were saying that everyone is feeling oppressed all the time.
Yeah.
Fine. Let's bring communism. What is your strategy?
A day will come when Shah Rukh Khan and I will be equally powerful, equally respected, and will have equal wealth. Therefore, I won't feel any type of shame or oppression when I stand side by side with Shah Rukh Khan. I will think
Who
he's an
ensure
equal.
that equality?
Huh?
Who will ensure that equality?
The government.
Then the government is oppressing us, no? The government is a stronger power than us, so we should again revolt against the government and to
Yes.
overthrow it.
Yeah.
How will that work?
What does Chanakya say about Matsya Nyaya then?
Chanakya, okay, not only Chanakya, the entire lineage talks about two things: Satya and Ahimsa. What does it mean? Understand this. What is Marxian Nyaya? Marxian Nyaya is two words, one conjoined word, but two words: Matsya and Nyaya. Nyaya means logic. Matsya is that which is born out of Matsya. That means fish. So the logic born out of fish means bigger fish will eat the small fish. That's the logic. Now, that is the fundamental nature of nature itself.
Yes.
The strong kills the weak. Now, later on, when if we get to meet each other again, I'll explain why these things happen. What is the Jiva Tattva and how does that gets into these things, and what is karma and how does it play? Okay, so leaving that aside, if now through Marxian Nyaya, a Jiva does get pleasure, but the pleasure is fleeting, ক্ষণস্থায়ী, ক্ষণস্থায়ী যেটাকে বলে, it's a fleeting pleasure. Today it's with me, tomorrow it will be with someone else. Today I am powerful, I killed someone and took his asset and having pleasure by indulging into that. Tomorrow someone powerful, more powerful than me will come and kill me and take it away. I'm dead. I'm not having pleasure anymore. I'm always, for that I'm continuously looking back. So the rishis of ours, they devised a formula that first thing, that all of us have to create a society, a samaj. Sama aja. Aja means animal. Sama means equal. A structure of place where every single living animal is treated equally. That's why, remember, in Brahma Puran we read not only human, dogs, chickens, pigs, guy, whatever is grihapalita, domesticated, you cannot kill them. It is not prohibiting you from eating meat, but not of your domesticated animals. Domesticated animals are part of your family. You have to give them the same treatment as human. That's why it is a samaj. All animals are equal. Now, in order to do that, how can you implement that? So there comes the answer that implement Satya and Ahimsa. The two ways I can deceive you or I can harm you is by telling you lie or lying to you or physical harm. These two things. Now, Ahimsa not necessarily is physical harm. It, according to Panini's Ashtadhyayi, ahimsa is kind of আমরা বাংলায় যেটা ভাবি না যে হিংসা যে জিনিসটা যেটা that is like selfish action. That is hinsa.
What action?
Selfish action.
Acha.
Right. It's not always violent.
Isn't ahimsa about prevention of unfair violence as well?
Exactly. Unfair according to what? Means how is it unfair?
Like
Because
murder and stuff.
It's yes. Why murder is unfair? Someone is harming or ending someone's existence because of selfish reasons.
Right.
It is not done for the greater good. It's for selfish reasons.
Okay.
That's the difference between a murder and a war.
Nice. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
War is not hinsa. Murder is hinsa.
Yes. Great.
So that's the means very vague difference between it.
Yeah.
So what they tell is ensure that people always tell the truth and people do not unjustifiedly step on others' shoes.
Yeah.
These are the two basic principles what comes. And from there, the policies, the Nyaya Shastra, the Niti Shastra, Danda Niti, and all those things comes about, and you see that okay, Brahmana, Nari, Brahmana, Shishu, and the Shishu, Ashwa, and Gai, they are Avadhya, Aganya. Those things comes into play. However, there's a caveat. If any of those stands on a battlefield wielding a weapon against you, then they are not Avadhya.
Nice.
Then you can kill them.
Yeah.
So those kind of caveats, because war is not a civilized setup. That's the animalistic setup.
Yes.
Anything goes.
Yeah. And the other question our viewer is asking you is, what tips do you have to spot a fake tantric baba from a genuine one?
That's a very, very hard question. Depends on your understanding. First thing, understand one thing. According to the traditional Hinduism, what you call Hinduism, you are not supposed to blindly believe. Andhvishwas is not promoted. If you think someone is worthy of becoming your guru, if you think, go and ask him question about your doubts. If his answers satisfy you, then only that person is capable of becoming your guru.
Fair enough. I guess therefore the accountability shifts to your intelligence as well, and that I think is pretty fair.
Both means a shishya should inquire and put hard questions to guru before getting under his wing, his or her wing.
Right.
Similarly, the guru must also test the shishya to check whether he is adhikari or qualified to get that knowledge on.
Right.
Both has to be met. Otherwise, problematic situation.
Yeah.
अयोग्य को दोगे तो वो गया, मतलब वो विद्या लेके कुछ उल्टा सीधा करेगा. And when I'm saying vidya, it does not mean I'm talking about some esoteric, fantastic jadugari and all that stuff. Right? Because all the tantras, they are codified, but if you read them properly with an open mind and correlate them to realistic world, you will find that they are connecting to something very materialistic. Some part is also esoteric. That's a different things altogether. So
he's asking a follow-up question that what are some sure shot signs? There must be tantric babas whose speech is obviously fake for someone familiar with tantra.
ये जो प्यार दिला देंगे,
टोटका,
ये करो, नींबू काटो, those things, those are all bullshit. Those things doesn't work.
So you are saying the short-term gratification babas.
Exactly. Nothing works for short term.
That cancels out most tantric babas in India probably.
Exactly. Maximum of them are bundles. They don't even know what does mean by shatakarma.
I see. Great. That should be a satisfying answer. Okay then, Arinda, we'll have you back sometime else.
Sure.
I forget my English sometimes. Some other time. Yeah.
Sure. Chalo, Dale. Get
Yeah.
along.
Yeah. Okay.
Good night.
Yeah. Where is Abhay? Are you planning to come on, Abhay? If anyone wants to come on the live stream, let me know. I'll tell you the Google Meet code again. We are having a very weird, unplanned discussion here with the audience. Let me know if anyone wants to come on. Otherwise, I'll wait for a few 1-2 minutes because the comments take 1-2 minutes to show up, and then I'll go offline. Yeah, short-term gains Baba is equal to fake Baba. Y'all are discussing Dhruv Rathi. I'll have to change the thumbnail of this video now. I just mentioned the Western somewhat equivalent. Ye kya hai? Ninar is now online and saying kya hai. Ninar, we are having a very weird day today. First, we started with the live stream discussing Patrick Bet-David's debate with Richard Wolff. I was going to say werewolf. Then we got to it about 10-15 minutes. Then a Commie viewer took a membership and started saying that he was open to debating me because he said some things at the end of the previous live stream which I responded to. Then ended the live stream. He continued the debate in the comment section where I challenged him to come on to debate at 12 in the night. He said no, he can't because he has to go up get up in the morning and go to gym. Then he was live here, so we had a debate with him for 1 hour. That was fun. Then we started having discussions with the viewers today because the Patrick Bet-David live stream has gone to hell anyway. We'll have to change the thumbnail. So now, if anyone wants to come on the channel to discuss things, not to debate because no commies are awake anymore, they can come, or I'm going offline. What knowledge would I have to share though? I want to talk, can't afford membership. No, right now it's not a membership discussion. Anyone can come. Wisdom, which is better than knowledge. Nice. Ambedkar himself married to Brahmin wife. Meera Tripathi is saying the comedians like Kunal Kamra, Rathi, Akash Banerjee had their best in 2019 elections. Yes. What are some short stories? There are many Hindus also in Dhruv Rathi comments. It's not just yeah, of course. Lots of Hindus in Dhruv Rathi comments. Random topic पे बात करना मुश्किल है. Yes. Tell me link. Okay, yeah. I'll give you the link. Make sure your headphone or laptop mic works fine, okay? And your internet connection is not too shabby. Yeah, we are doing this for 15 minutes for every audience member, okay? Slow mo bolo har har Mahadev. Okay, so someone is coming on. His name is History and Mythology Religion. Interesting name. Let's see what his vaktavya is. You have to type meet.google.com / this thing IRH BKZV BFZ. He's going to stay on for 15 minutes. If anyone else wants to come online and discuss stuff, you can. Namaste. Udupi Hudga. How are people suddenly joining in at 2 in the night? But namaste. Dada, you made your channel like Sanatan Samiksha. Out of the blue, only today. But not just for debates, for friendly discussions as well. It started off with a debate. Oh, what's that debate later on? You'll find fun stuff. I guess he is coming. By the way, let's thoughts on the nickname Haunting of Jyoti Basu. Haunting of Jyoti Basu. Who is getting haunted by Jyoti Basu the most today? I think Buddhadev Bhattacharya is getting haunted by Jyoti Basu the most. That क्या रे हमने तेरे को दिया सरकार सत्ता और तुमने ये क्या कर डाला. Interesting commies, yes. IRH, BKZV, BFZ, yes. Who is coming online? I want to meet. No, I think someone else is already trying to meet. Okay, whoever joins first, okay? Come on. Come one, come all. Let's see, who is first? Whoever is first, the other people have to go unless we are discussing the same things. You can still go away and we'll do it for just 10-15 minutes, okay? Only if your mic, headphone mic, laptop mic is good enough and you have a stable enough connection. We don't want to do this like who's that Bengali woman, female journalist who comes on Advaita Kala's podcast? You have to type meet.google.com/irh-bkzv-bfz, okay? Udupi Hood guy saying, can I get a summary on condition of West Bengal nowadays? I'm curious. Summary is, it's a more or less fascist state. Lots of political violence. No industry. Economy is in shambles. Film, author, skill and booktube. Wow. Wow, Modi ji, wow. Wait one moment, okay? Whoever's trying to join, let me just finish the answer. So, if this isn't you, Ayush, then wait, okay? Let this person have his say. So, the core problem facing Bengal today is that since we have not had industry for so long, the aspirational model of the society in general, by which I mean lower middle class, lower class, which is obviously the highest population in the state, the aspirational model for a lot of people, the majority in that section, which ends up being probably a gigantic majority, if not the most significant minority of the population, is to be a political gunda for Trinamool Congress, and that needs to change as soon as possible with a CM who will handle law and order with a rock solid iron fist. Then invite business. And then people can have different aspirational model, and then things will change. Okay, 2 people are here. First, I'll take in film authors, skill and books. After that, Ayush. Oh, wo chala gaya. So Ayush, come on. Hello, Ayush. You are muted, okay? Okay. History and mythology is here now, but we'll take you after Ayush is done, okay? Hello, Ayush.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Even you don't want to show your face.
Actually, it's night, so I'm kind of on my bed right now.
Oh, great. Are you hiding from the law or from the long arm of academia? How old are you?
I am 18 years old.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I have been a big fan. I first watched your video. I've been following you for quite a time, sir.
Yeah.
And you had, 1K follower.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And I always knew that, you'd become big. And, even more bigger you will become in future. But I have
Thank you.
one question, so there are, I'm going to pursue law.
Okay.
I'll be joining GLC Mumbai. So I have this fear right now. Ki, as you have stated earlier, that in your defund sociology podcast and everything,
Yeah.
I've been listening to you for a long time, and you have always this thought that because sociology doesn't serve Indian society that well, because they don't, it's not inherently Indian or Indic as you have mentioned, many times.
Yeah.
So I've always this, because in law you have to study sociology, because once you know about the society of India, then
Yeah.
practice the law of India, and that's it.
Right.
So I have this, most of the teachers are leftist, communists.
Yeah.
So how to go on about it? Like, do you have any suggestion? I'm just asking as
Yeah.
as suggestion wise, because you're most you're intellectual, and how to go on about it.
I am not an intellectual, okay? I'm a curious guy with a great Wi-Fi. So I have moved away from the position of demanding defunding sociology because then I'm not going to ask for a ban of sociology anyway, because that leaves that's such a slippery slope for the government to ban anything that we can't take that route. So what happens if you defund sociology? Only rich people who are anyway detached from society go on reading commie stuff in private colleges. So we can't have that as well. So what the mysterious sociologist said in our live streams, that is, I think, a better solution, that you don't need to open sociology departments in each and every colleges all across the country, where you pay teachers to teach kids who are not going to pursue sociology, who don't understand any terminology of sociology, who are better off being farmers, and not as a derogatory term. You have to produce food. What the fuck are we going to eat? So teach sociology in very specific institutions with clear-cut goals, with clear-cut problem-solving mentality. That's all. Not for any random stuff. And especially, I think in that section, in that field about not having anti-India goals, that's going to be heading to good things anyway, a good direction anyway, because so many FCRA licenses have been cancelled that incentive structures to hurt India are going to dry up pretty soon. And if the government, who have a large amount of say, who have the complete say over who becomes a senior professor or a HOD in any college university, if BJP and RSS, who have not yet, I think, started using their brains, if they start using their brains and put up people who don't have that far left commie view, which BJP doesn't even agree with, at least in some college and universities, if they put such people at the top of these departments, then of course we'll see results very soon. But first of all, we have to cut down meaningless sociology classrooms in every village classroom. That's all.
Yeah. And I also have one more question, which I'm very confused about, because I'm figuring out these stuff, right?
Yeah.
Figuring out Hindutva, figuring out Indic wing, because these stuff are new to me and new to my parents and everyone.
Yeah.
Earlier they are Hindus, of course, but they've never thought about in an academic way of Indic wing as we are being taught something wrong or something of that way.
Yeah.
So my question is that, when I'll be reading stuff, I have been reading stuff, you definitely encounter some things which are very unpleasant. Like, Dalits being butchered, Dalits being discriminated like anything.
Yeah.
And these things have happened,
Yeah.
right? Like, you have also mentioned it clearly, explicitly, that these things have happened.
Yes.
Although, you have also attributed that the caste system itself is not only formed by Brahmins, but is a congregation of all the castes, all hierarchy, all castes contributing, to that I'm great or something of that sort.
Yeah.
So, but you will encounter such stuff. And in that moment, like, how to go on about it? Like the typical JNU guy, typical law guy would clearly use these points.
Yeah.
Okay, Dalits were butchered, Dalits were murdered, Dalits were not allowed in their own temples. How do you expect them to pray to the gods when they were not allowed in their temples?
Yeah. So first of all, whether you agree or not with that persecution, that should be enough an answer for the JNU commie guy. Are you a person who says that yes, they were great things, Brahmins were absolutely right to do that, and therefore it should go on? If you say that, then of course there's a big problem with Hinduism, there's a big problem with you or anything you follow. But you are not saying that. You are saying that either you are saying that yes, those bad things happened and I don't condone them, I don't want those things to happen anymore, or you are saying that those bad things were bad things, but they didn't really happen as much as you say they had. So what can we conclude from here? That you are not defending those things anyway. If they say that because that thing was a bad thing and that was the only thing apparently happening in the entirety of the country, that can't be an argument, because every society has some bad things going on. And besides, our value systems change. Our value systems change. What we consider justice today, what we consider injustice today, is all based on the convenience of today. Okay. Because let's say in an ideal futuristic world, we consider that veganism is a great thing, and therefore we start criticizing every meat eater person in the history of humanity. How can that work? Is a black person today happier in USA? And should we give the credit for that to George Washington, who was a slave owner? Where would that JNU PhD go to study? In USA or Africa? So there might be problems and flaws in every human and in every human institution, in every human society. So what would be that ideal flawless society that the JNU PhD or JNU Commie is proposing? He cannot give any example of any such society.
So you are like, sir, you are telling that it's perfectly okay to accept that there were flaws
Yes,
and to not defend some things and to
yes,
move on.
yes.
Say that, yeah, I don't agree with it. It's not compatible with today's society. I move on with it.
And
And
besides, the only reason they don't know so many flaws about all other societies is because all other societies have gone to hell. You don't know what kind of brutalities were going on in Native American society because there is nothing to study about Native American society. Latin American, who the fuck knows what the Incas were doing? We know they were doing human sacrifices, but we don't talk about them all the time because they don't exist even anymore. So we have 5,000, 6,000 years of data to complain about when it comes to Hinduism. So it's sort of a good problem to have. It's a champagne problem, but it is a problem. But all that matters is whether you defend it today or not. Even a casteist, if he says that yes, it is a bad thing, but we didn't do those bad things back then, even then he's a good companion to have. Only problematic person is someone who says no, they were good things that those persecutions happened, and we are going to go on doing that even today if we come to power. That's the only problem. Only those people are the problem.
One of my favorite videos of yours is yours about Saint Xavier's, the molestation case or something of that sort.
Yeah.
And in that video, you were profound, I would say, because first I had this thinking before reading Savarkar, that a usual conservative Hindu guy. I listened to your videos first, and you were supporting Hindutva, you were supporting Savarkar,
Yeah.
and so I thought, okay, he's a conservative guy. Then I listened to that video, and it was like a change of heart for me. Like, oh my god, it's a very progressive thought that you presented in that video. And then I started reading Savarkar, and I got to know that how liberal of a philosophy Hindutva is.
Yeah, exactly. We
Exactly.
we liberals, we people who are brought up in the anglicized families, we are perfectly comfortable in the Hindutva fold because of people like Savarkar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And do you see a scope that Hindutva upcoming days, of course the movement will definitely increase. It will further expand in West Bengal,
Yeah.
more in south, and it will increase
Yeah.
even abroad. Even
Yeah.
NDA, the National Democratic Alliance, today has announced that if it win,
Yeah.
it will start forming coalition abroad, like how commies have their all international
Yeah.
and stuff. So BJP will be doing that. In
Hmm.
Nepal, they have already formed their Nepal Janata Party,
Yeah.
so they will be doing that in
Yeah.
abroad as well. So I think, do you see a scope that Hindutva will align itself to feminism? Hindutva might align itself to LGBTQ.
Yeah.
Do you see a scope in that being more liberal or more inclusive of that matter? Now it's very inclusive. Now
Yeah.
it's even inclusive of several castes, Dalits,
Yeah.
scheduled tribe. RSS is doing. My father is a RSS guy, and he
Okay.
has been working with Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram,
I see.
who works with scheduled tribes,
Okay.
and an RSS wing of Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram.
Right.
They work with scheduled tribes, and they have done phenomenal job in
Yes.
Northeast and in Chhattisgarh.
Yes.
Like, you go to the schools in Chhattisgarh,
Yeah.
and those people are like Ram Bhakts,
Yes.
Adivasis. They have their
Yes.
own renditions of Ramayana. They have
Yeah.
their own renditions of God, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing what RSS is doing. And in Karnataka, that there's a Siddhi tribe. That's a predominantly Muslim tribe. And Vanvashi Kalyan Ashram, they literally represented those tribes. And BJP elected an MLC from that tribe in Karnataka Assembly.
Okay.
It's a remarkable job they are doing. But my
Yeah.
question was that.
Hmm.
And thank you so much for taking time. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan. Thank you.
So your question is that is Hindutva going to go on accommodating everyone?
Not everyone, but does it have a scope to accommodate? Because many trads have also come in this Hindutva fold, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've also seen that in Twitter.
I
You
think
will
trads
see
are fast quitting the Hindutva movement because they are seeing how.
yeah, they're quitting it. They are quitting
Yeah.
it. They are
Yeah.
openly now declaring that we are not going to vote for BJP.
Yeah.
It's happening in Gujarat today with Rajputs announcing that we will not vote for BJP because they
Yeah.
have not announced any candidate. So the unity bit goes to anything. And
Yeah.
Assam, it's also kind of happening, the home nationalist and everything, they
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
not aligning with Bengali Hindus.
Exactly.
So it is, I mean, majority of them do ally, but a home nationalist, of course, Ulfa and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, mathematically speaking, at the moment, you must remember, you must feel happy knowing that whoever is quitting the Hindutva movement because they think Hindutva is not enough for this country is basically part of an ideology which is absolutely numerically irrelevant at the moment. Okay, I am a libertarian, but if I today quit the Hindutva movement and criticize it all the time because it's not libertarian enough, it means that libertarianism is numerically absolutely insignificant and negligible of a minority. So, if at all a situation comes that these people are able to hijack Hindutva, let's say the bad people, by bad people I don't mean all trads. Anyone who follows traditions still may not behave badly towards a lower caste person. So there are, I guess, bad trads and good trads even. But you have to remember what is the core essence of this country. BJP is not a fascinating brand new party with a brand new ideology. BJP is basically the Congress that would have happened with Vallabhbhai Patel in power or Shyama Prasad Mukherjee in power. That is the core essence of BJP, and you must remember that even today the majority of the population of this country is not even voting for BJP. So it's a long shot that anyone who thinks they are going to go right of BJP or Hindutva and still going to be any kind of a significant voice, they absolutely don't understand mathematics or this country.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
And feminism.
Feminism is a bigger threat because feminism is a double-edged sword here. So first of all, we have appropriated, or feminists would say that we have misappropriated feminism to a large extent, and we have been successful at it because of people like Nupur J. Sharma, Smriti Irani, all the countless goddesses we have. So BJP Hindutva feels pretty at home with strong females, strong women.
And women love Modi ji. Like
Exactly.
dadis, aunties, they love Modi ji.
Yeah. Now, where does this coalition with women who are strong, independent, powerful women spill over to actual crazy feminism? There, I think there is a significant concern because the arguments against feminism are not really that clear in the minds of most people even today. Because the one reason I think there might be a saving grace, because most feminists are aligning with absolute anti-India, anti-Hindu forces and transgenderism, etc. Therefore, a lot of people who would have agreed to first wave, second wave feminism might be turned away from feminism today. Therefore, we may not have all the craziness of feminism in Indian politics in the near future. But if that does not happen, if even right-wing women keep on imbibing the values of feminism that comes from even third-wave feminism, but they just maybe don't accept the transgenderism part, but all the other aspects of feminism, that is thinking of men as an evil, vile thing, if that happens, then we are in big trouble. I think it might be a long shot only because feminists themselves are screwing things up. So right-wing feminist women might not be that happy with those feminists, and therefore they'll be turned away from the feminist movement as a whole.
And the hating man part is also like a very minority of it. Only the elite women do it.
Yeah.
India didn't have a first wave of feminism. Only the feminism we see is elite women working in corporate offices demanding menstrual paid leave.
Yeah.
We are no
our first wave feminism,
women workers, women workers working in fields and stuff. No one speaks for them. Not even these elite people.
No, they would argue that therefore redistribute all the wealth among the women who are working in the fields. They have their solution. Our
and also,
first wave.
One more point I have is that question basically. So the JNU guy, the normal PhD, Commie guy, would say, like, let's be honest, I and you are general, right? From general category.
Yeah.
So the person would say, how can you are presenting your perspective, right? You can't speak as a Dalit. You can't speak as a Adivasi. You can't speak some of the extremely backward castes. I'm not talking about OBC, the dominant OBC, Yadavs and stuff. They are fairly privileged. They just, LARP as OBC and stuff. So, and you can't speak for their experience. And it is true to an extent.
It is not true to an extent because you can't go down that route, because they'll say that you can't say your card is fucked up just because you don't have a mechanical engineering PhD.
I mean, not that part. Of course, like it's saying like no uterus, no opinion by
basically. Yeah, so they can't be allowed to have that opinion at all.
At all.
Yeah.
No, but my point is that like it's in my gaon, in my village, the discrimination kind of still happens,
Right.
and it's so ingrained in the minds that I only came to know this, that gawar word, the gawar word we use is actually a caste, and we are using it.
Yeah.
So I mean, these things does boggle my mind, that how can we expect these people to be Hindus and stuff,
and notice that this language where we can find little evidences of casteism, that even happens in religions and languages where you think casteism doesn't exist. What is the term for a non-Muslim? A jahil. Who do we really call a jahil otherwise? So
and in Pakistan, even the Indian Muslims who came to Pakistan, they had a very bad term, mujahir.
Actually, muhajir has a different meaning. I learned from this Ramakrishna Mission explanation of Prophet Muhammad's words. Muhajir actually means a person who came from a distant land to the land of basically peace and Islam. So I don't know how they conjured their own meaning of muhajir. Muhajir is actually meant to be a good thing, that you are so dedicated to Islam that you went to a land of peace, land of Islam. So in Bengali, there's a derogatory term called Kyaura. That you are basically a chapri niba, okay? Kyaura is actually a caste. It's actually a jati and a lower caste jati.
Yeah, it happens.
So if you can't talk about anything in relation to Dalits just because you are upper caste, so does that mean now you can't even talk about their oppression that you are seeing in your own villages because you are upper caste?
Yeah.
So where does the line get drawn? What can you speak of if you are an upper caste?
Basically, they want us to speak that, okay, we did it, we are wrong.
That is what you are saying anyway.
Upper hand.
Right.
Dalits have an upper hand. They should be given everything. They have every right to bash us. They have every right to criticize us. They have every right to tell that Brahmins and all these castes should be annihilated. Their wealth should be distributed.
Fair enough. For how many generations? What would be their argument? Yeah, that is the point. Because we know that most people's genealogies are all made up bullshit. How do you know I was not a
This I had a pretty strong debate from a person. Yeah. I said that yes, discrimination has happened. This has happened, but we have good affirmative actions program. We have now started. People are being aware that this has happened. This was wrong and all this. Yeah. They have the clear point. You are no one to speak. You are a Savarna. You are a Savarna. How can you speak about
Tell them, fuck you, I'll speak harder.
That. You have never
Do not concede that point.
Of not going into temple.
Yeah.
You have not felt the disgust of not being touched. You have not felt the disgust. They would say this. And emotionally it does hit you, right?
The person who is telling you also hasn't felt any of those things. How did he end up in JNU?
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Even he hasn't felt those things. He's also an upper caste Bengali.
Yeah. He's an upper caste Brahmin. Yeah.
So how does he know? Yeah. Maybe if someone has actually felt untouchability, maybe they want free markets to come in so that he can be richer than all these Brahmins. I have actually faced racism. No Bengali has actually faced racism. I studied in a school which had 90% Nepalis and who were fair-skinned. So I got bullied and beaten up for being dark-skinned and a Bengali. And I'm friends with all Bengali, all Nepalis. And I think racism is a weird thing, but Nepalis don't need to be treated as an enemy. So you can never guess what exactly the person will feel who has actually faced those oppressions. So let's not jump to conclusions and never concede that point that you can't talk about it just because you are a Brahmin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I also see these Instagram pages of talking about Dalit history and stuff.
Yeah. Fair enough. Dalit history is Indian history.
Indian history, exactly.
Yeah.
And they would take small points. They took one of the lines from Bhagavad Gita and they said now Hindutva has a new book, Bhagavad Gita, because it's written Chatur Varniyam wala slok, that people can interchange their caste and stuff. But they took some of the slokas and said that, oh, these people won't understand that it also hurts us.
Yeah, but who is following that?
Yeah, who is following that? No one.
Even if Lord Krishna has said it, we are not following it.
Yeah.
And so who wants to follow it? They are not in the Hindutva movement.
So, sir, you are proponent of the fact that we can sort of remove or not revitalize, like devitalize stuff which are not important in today's society.
Yeah, because we as a people, as a general populace, We don't think based on theories. If we thought only on the basis of theories, no Hindu king would ever side with Muslim kings or British. We are an experiential identity wala people. Now, at the moment, there is no incentive or convenience that we can feel out of following the oppressive or birth-based caste system. So we are not going to follow it. Some people might. That some people is a hilariously low number. So it's not an important issue.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thank you for joining, Ayush.
Thank you
Let's
so
see
much,
who is
sir.
coming next. AB. Hello, AB. Are you still here?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Hi.
Hello. Who are you from the live chat? AA?
AB.
Oh, just AB. Okay.
Yes.
Hi, where are you from?
Currently, Charlotte, US.
Oh, how old are you? Hi.
30.
Finally, someone shows their face.
Yes.
Hi.
डरते नहीं है.
What are you doing in US? Were you born there?
No.
Okay.
Study MS.
Oh, okay.
Done now. Job.
Okay. So tell us.
So I've been big fan of yours. Like I've been watching you 6 months. 4 months, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So without wasting more time, let me quickly go over my. When are you going to bring Anand Ranganatham?
I texted him on Twitter day before yesterday. He usually sees my messages. He hasn't seen this one as yet. Whenever he sees that, then the conversation will go forward.
All right. Next, if possible, can you do collaboration with Inside India, Junaid and Devik Kumar?
Who are they? I'll have to check them out. I'm not being able to check them out as of now because of so many other people. I've already planned and I'm handling their emails, confirming the timings. And besides, I'm not a full-time YouTuber as of now. I'm still trying to make time for music. So when all the people I already know about, I'm already going to talk to them. After they are finished, when I'm basically feeling some dearth of guests, then I'll look into new guests. At the moment, I can't.
All right. And how far we behind in terms of narrative warfare? Meaning, like, there are very few. Let's say we are in right side of thinking. There are very few people who can, articulate their thoughts and everything. It's they have very basic lines. They don't bring much things to table, and after a point. You stop listening to them as well. So like how far are we behind? Because if you see in left side, at least they have word salad, right? They will throw at you and you're like, yeah, this is good. So like how far are we behind?
We are pretty far behind, but we are also catching up very fast. Let's say they are here and we are here, but they are moving like this and we are moving like this.
Okay.
Because we have Vikram Sampath, Jai Sai Deepak, no? And and because of the internet, because of people like I give a lot of credit to Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate. I don't know how much credit most people in the Hindutva side give, but anyone who speaks in English and is debating commies, they will find a lot of help if they listen to these people, because then there's a diversity of opinions as well, and there is, more importantly, coherent, comprehensive English language. The king of that in India is basically only Jai Sai Deepak. No one else. You can't depend on just one man for that. Then you will be mugging up only his arguments. So you need good arguments and a grasp on the English language, word choices, etc.
All right. And final two things. So just because apna Kattar Imandar Keju bhai, after that, like I fear from everyone because so many people followed him and now he became this Keju. So now I like Prashant Kishore also, but I fear so far he is promising, but I don't know how he will turn out down the line.
Prashant Kishore will be as commie as it gets. His views are he says I'm a basically Gandhian liberal. What does that mean? It means Gandhian socialism. But by the time he's going to come to power, hopefully India will have shifted right economically so much that he won't be able to go about his commie ways. You know why he's criticizing Congress left and right all the time, right? He's clearing his way for 2029. He is prepping for 2029.
Nice.
He wants to come to power in 2029. Maybe he will be an alliance partner of NDA from Bihar. But whatever his mental shenanigans and gymnastics are, he probably won't be able to execute them on the ground by the time he comes to power.
All right. And have you traveled to other states in India? Basically, the UP side, Punjab side, or?
No. I have been to Maharashtra twice, Delhi twice, Himachal once, Shillong twice, Jharkhand twice, Odisha thrice. That's all. No, never been to South, and I've been to Goa once. That's all.
All right. And please use hashtags as much as possible, because there is no hashtag in your thing. You need wider audience.
Actually,
you don't know.
YouTube has told me when I first started this channel, I used to put a lot of hashtags. Okay, but they were just for a Hail Mary. Actually, YouTube tells you that the description and the title is all that matters. Hashtag does not matter. It's YouTube who tells you. It used to matter earlier, and especially in Instagram. On YouTube, it does not matter what hashtags you put. It matters only the actual words you put in. And because of today's more stronger AIs, it can pick things up even from the thumbnail itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay. So after these, like, we are seeing so many furgy fake Sanatana, right? People. So how long that will sustain?
That will increase now, because Sanatana is now getting incentivized. No, that will only increase.
So
now.
that's okay. That's in fashion now.
Yeah. So therefore, actually, whoever is a devout Hindu will have to concede the point that just because someone is showing their Hindu credentials on their forehead or on their clothes, just because of that we can't trust them. They'll have to actually say significant things and have a significant standpoint. Their clothes and their fancy dress competition does not matter.
Yeah, I heard your argument on that because you said that
beer biceps.
Beer biceps. Yeah.
And all of West Bengal's Trinamulis.
Okay.
They're watering their tulsi plant 5 times a day, and their dog is tied up in the yard 24 hours a day in rain, thunderstorm, snow, no matter what.
All right. And the final one is do postmortem of Periyar, because I have few Tamil friends over here, and when I talk to them, like, he created a fault lines in South India. Let's assume I am conceding your point that he did some social justice thing, whatnot, but he created so many fault lines that other people are exploiting. Other than that, I don't have any points. So
what social justice thing he did?
They are saying that the higher caste people were there, Brahmins and whatnot.
Who was the landed community?
All right. Again, coming back to my original point, I just don't have. I have to study more.
No non-landed community can ever oppress you, because in order to oppress someone, you need to have strength of weapons, or you need to be basically have some property so that people will oppress for you physically. Otherwise, what oppression are we going to even enforce? Bhag bhosri ke yahan se. Who's going to listen to you? He's going to slap you and leave. Only way they're not going to slap you is if you have 200 gundas around you.
Yes.
Back then, that came only if you were a Kshatriya or if you had land.
Yeah.
And how many Brahmins were landed in South India?
Oh, so again, those follow-up points I don't have. So that's why I'm requesting you to do postmortem of him on this channel,
I know
if
this much. I'm not a South India expert. I'll have to bring, I guess, someone who knows about these things on podcast to specifically discuss Periyar. Then we might get somewhere.
And the other thing is increase the non-Bengali stuff as well as much as possible, because your channel needs so much wider audience.
Thank you.
Because so many stuffs are being said and it is getting delivered to just as of now less number of people.
Yeah. Someday.
Yeah. So yeah.
Thank you.
And
yeah. Okay.
That's all. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Now history and mythology. Hello, history and mythology. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Are you listening to me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just a student in JU and West Bengal, currently living in West Bengal.
Do you
Okay.
want to speak in Hindi?
No. I want to speak in English.
Okay. So how old are you?
I am 23 years
Okay.
old.
What are you studying in JU?
I am journalism and mass communication in JU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
is that a postgraduate diploma or are you studying it in undergrad?
MA.
Right. Oh,
Master.
MA, not diploma.
No.
Oh, I see. So you have film studies as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that left on.
Right.
I just want to talk to you about. I have many things. I specifically think our Hindutva fault needs rebranding. This
Okay.
Hindutva word needs to go off. We need new words like that's why I am commenting earlier that you need people from pagan movement. There is a neo-pagan movement in the European world, and the woke leftists are eating it like cakes.
Yeah.
we can Trojan horse that.
Yeah.
We can Trojan horse that.
Yeah.
I also think that I also think that we can Trojan horse that thing. The modern problem, we think that it is left, liberal left. I think there is a theological problem. Theological problem is that the pagan world or the polytheist world, it started after the sedentary movement, after a human being developed agriculture.
Okay.
Then
Yeah.
Then they created cults. These cults are kshetra specific, place specific. It is supplanted by Christianity and Abrahamism and Islam.
Yeah.
That's why earlier, before Christianity, that's the philosophy and theology are connected, just like us.
Yeah.
In Greco-Roman period, in Egypt, in Persia, theology, polity, everything is connected to the land. But it is supplanted by Christianity. I would say Abrahamism, universal Abrahamism. Judaism Judaism is Abrahism, but it is not universal. They don't want to proselytize. They just want that type of land.
Right.
They are also polytheistic in that sense. So the universal Abrahamism creates the problem.
Yeah.
We need to create a theory so that we can create the dichotomy. The left, actual left, the Marx is in a dialectical or genealogical descendant of the Western Vikriti, Western Vikriti.
Yes.
Western Vikriti of philosophy, polytheistic philosophy, and the superimposition of the Christianism.
Right.
Christianism or Abrahamism. If we get rid of that, that's the problem. I think that's the problem, and we cannot fathom it. It is my new dichotomy. My theory is that if we, I want to one thing. If you study the polytheistic origin of Judaism, you will get the idea that Levant, the ancient Levant, is in a place where they were not the civilization.
Okay.
They were cattle herders. They were tribal peoples, but they were surrounded by three civilizations. Three civilizations: Egyptian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, and Roman or Greco-Roman civilization. Now, I might see it may be connected to the second Bronze Age collapse.
Okay.
This collapse happened in Mesopotamia, and the whole people around the Levant, these are the two things I think. One is a tandem, the two strings. The Levantian people were never independent. They do not create their own civilization. If you please check the Abrahamism. Abrahamism has no philosophy. It appropriated Greco-Roman philosophy. Islam also appropriated Greco-Roman philosophy. They have no philosophy because their scripture is testimony. Testimony is the least reliable means of knowledge according to Naya philosophy.
Right.
According to Naya philosophy, best means of knowledge is pratyaksha pramana. That is empirical data. That is science.
Yeah.
And that also came to the West, modern Western world. In the West, Jordan Peterson or whatever they are saying the America is built on Judeo-Christian value. No.
It's not.
No. They are based on Greco-Roman, pagan value. American is the most pagan country in the world. This paganism came through Renaissance and then to Enlightenment.
Yeah, Kushal Mehra would agree with that. Yes.
If you think humanism, what is humanism? Human is the center. In the pagan world, nobody is the center. And in the earth, if we think, there is a Swarga, Marta and Patal. In the Marta, I am human.
Yeah.
I am already in the center. The gods interfere that, but God doesn't command or torture me for that. I can also torture God. I can also give sharp to God.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the humanism, that idea, all are present in the pagan world. That is destructed for 2000 years. That's how the modern Western world is crumbling like that. Because America, think about it. America is a settler colonial. Marxists would say settler colonial, but they are also Christian, Abrahamic. So they have no value for any land in America. Why do Indian patriot is more patriot in their country? Pakistan is not, because they are Abrahamized. Bangladesh is not, because we have our sacred place in India.
Yeah.
That sacred place, that always connected to idolatry. Idolatry, I would say, philosophically, nobody can ever say that idolatry is bad. Idolatry is much more good. Only anti-idolatry comes from the scripture. That is testimony. That's the least reliable means of knowledge. And the whole Abrahamism, whole prophetism, it's based on that. And it is also a great bait and switch tactic.
And no one is really against idolatry anyway, because after all, you are going to have a poster of your favorite actor, you are going to have a picture of your parents. So where you are going to pray at the grave of your loved one. So where is your real detachment from physical objects anyway? It's not there.
Now I think I imagine idol as a constructive, as a creative expression of human itself.
Right.
Just like human can create AI that is more powerful than him. That's like God. You create your idol. That's your projection of God onto a material object. But that always supports your creativity, human creativity. That's why there is a story in the Bible, the Tower of Babel. What is wrong with Tower of Babel? Tower of Babel is exactly like modern science and America itself, the pagan America. I don't know how the people miss the point, how left even miss the point. They are complete. Are left even think that their ideology is universal. That is not, because most of the world is Abrahamized through colonization and imperialism. If Columbus did not imperialize America, South America would be pagan. Another form is in the pagan or polytheist world. If you think the divine rights of the king, always in the material world, king always rule on behalf of God. But God doesn't rule directly. But if you think of the prophetism, prophet is just nothing. Prophet is the idol. Prophet,
pretty much,
he is not actual idol, but he portrays himself.
Right.
I am the idol, and
Exactly.
I am God's command creating you.
Yeah.
That creates a cultural memory.
Yeah.
That's the problem. If it is a political ideology, it will wither away in some centuries. But a religion, a tradition, there is some metaphysics. In the modern world, in the modern philosophy, we think metaphysics has no value. I am telling you, philosophy has three branches overall. Yes. Metaphysics and metaphysics or ontology, metaphysics, ontology, and epistemology. This epistemology, ontology, and metaphysics, every ideology, whatever these are, they has it. They has it. If you think Marxism does not have a metaphysics, they has a metaphysics. They has a metaphysics. They just assume that it is everywhere. They assume that world is linear. Why do they? Because their metaphysics is that Abrahamic metaphysics is linear. That's how metaphysics itself, contributed their wrong theory, or to say.
Yeah.
That's why
Do you write articles and papers and stuff?
I tried. I want to be, and I tried in my I'm from class 4. I tried writing in
Okay.
Bengali,
Yeah.
but I have not published anything yet.
Huh.
Although some blogs or something.
I think you need to write a paper now with full citations and stuff. Write a 23-24 page paper on this basic small talk you gave us here. This is a good enough thing to publish, and then you can send it to at least, let's say, Op India and stuff. They publish the good ones. They publish everything, but if it's really as interesting as you made it, Nupur J. Sharma will share it herself. Then I think you can get calls to write for even bigger paper houses.
Oh.
Okay, try that.
And Dada, I am your statesman.
Sorry?
I am a statesman. I live in West Bengal.
Oh, yeah.
In North 24 Organas. And studying in JU.
Yeah.
Whatever. I hate the commies in JU. From the bottom of my heart, I can't. I am. Whatever.
Where did you do your graduation from?
I graduate from my local college. This is this local college is from my just Paniati college. That is just a local college in my local area. One thing I studied my 12 1 to 12 in Ramakrishna Mission as an
Which
orphan.
branch? Rahoda.
Rahoda.
Right. Yeah, great school.
Right. And one more thing, I am a Namasudra.
Okay.
If anyone can. So that's my bio, whatever it is.
Great.
And this thesis I want to talk about. One thing more, the Hindutva ideology needs correction, rebranding, and there is one more thing. When Islamic golden age, there is no such thing called Islamic golden age. That is Persian golden age under Arab occupation.
Right.
They did what? They first any intellectual movement, you first do what? If you try to Renaissance type of intellectual movement, you try to translate. The modern problem of the Hindutva movement or Bharatiyatva problem is there is no translation. We need every Sanskrit, Prakrit, Sen Tamil, the old Tamil,
right.
Every classical work, be it pseudoscience, science, metaphysics, philosophy, story, everything needs to be translated. The folklore, the tribal folklore, the Meiteis has their own religions apart from Hinduism, that is called Sanmanism. They have 5 great epics. One epic is the 3rd largest Indian originated epic after Mahabharata and Ramayana.
I see.
There is no translation in the world.
Yeah.
Nobody translated that. Nobody even inquired their theology.
Yeah.
That in the South India, the Tamil Nadu, there is 5 great epics. I am researching various Indian originated theologies. There is one thing, Ayavadi Hindus.
Okay.
They themselves sometimes call themselves Hindu, sometimes don't call themselves, because their theology, they have a villain type person that is called crony. Now, crony, this word is heavy, interesting, because I think that crony comes from Greek mythology, and this movement, Ayavadi movement, started in 19th century. And I have many information. I sometimes maybe has some OCD or BPD something. I sometimes information dump someone. Okay, so I am just blabbering. This is all my theory. I am thinking for at least 2 to 3 years, and I have listened to podcast in the Bart Ehrman. Bart Ehrman is a Christian scholar, secular Christian scholar. He is into the finding of historical Jesus and debunking the theological Jesus, and he also does archaeology. And there is other scholars. They one book, The God and Anatomy. This book describes how God is an idol, but it was created in Bible when the canon formation happened. They deliberately erased that idolatry. If you think the Middle East, Yahweh is their original God. There is many people think there is 4 to 5 or 3 God in Abrahamism. No, there are many gods. But they use the word Elohim. Elohim, if you translate it, if you translate without any theology, it is Council of Gods.
Acha.
El Elyon is the most high god, and
Acha.
El Elyon wives is Asera.
Acha.
Asera is also present in Bible in the form of a tree, the garden of tree. Because in the ancient Middle East, Asera was always think of as a tree because he is mother god, just like Tulsi or Ma Durga or
Okay, I'll have to
Navadurbika.
interrupt you for a bit, history and mythology, because people are saying that we need you for a full podcast.
Okay.
So now save up your information to discuss in the full podcast, because most people are not going to watch this live stream in its entirety because it started with so many different topics, right? So we are going to contact you for a full full podcast, okay? Please drop me a message on my Instagram or my email ID. Do you know it?
I don't know your email ID. If you
Do you know my Instagram account?
I just follow you on the YouTube because
Okay.
I am not present.
Okay.
I just watch long time of video in 2x maximum time.
Yeah.
That's why
So my
I am
email
on
ID is indiconsciousness@gmail.com, as it's spelled anyway, okay? Indic, INDIC, then whatever is the spelling of consciousness @gmail.com. Send me a mail there, okay?
1 minute. Can you repeat?
Yeah, indiconsciousness@gmail.com.
Indic.
Yeah, Neener. Not Neener. Yeah, Goddank wants to join. So the next guest is planning to join. I'll send him the link.
Dada.
Yeah.
Indic consciousness
@gmail.com.
@gmail.
Okay. Good night, history and mythology.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay. Who is coming on next? Request him to bring him for full podcast. I'll fund it. Can't help ask one question. If humanities departments are not funded, how will these works be translated? Who's calling for humanities departments to be stopped funding? We are talking about stopping the funding of gender studies, women's studies, transgender studies, caste, not caste, race studies, critical race theory, etc. Whatever is taught of those things in India. We need to shift our entire focus and prioritize only Indian texts, more or less. Is anyone interested in coming online? Otherwise, I'll go. What you need to do is go to your Google browser or whatever browser, type meet.google.com/IRH-BKZV-BFZ, the code I posted there in the live chat. What a weird night. People who are seeing that thumbnail and coming must be very surprised. Quite an amazing session it became. Yes. By the way, history and mythology, if you are watching, check out the above comments, okay? M. Shastri was saying that he can get you funding for translations. Who thinks humanities is the only department capable of translating texts? Most of the translators are sitting jobless outside the universities. There are far more competent translators who don't belong in humanities. And we need to get them in the humanities department so that we can streamline this thing. You must do such streams more often. Yeah, I'll need to squeeze these things in now. Let's see. But I guess some days on the week we need to do this. Some days we need to talk about communism and capitalism based on debates other people have. Some days we'll do membership live streams. Some days we'll have to do the podcasts are at 7:30 anyway. So I need to revamp a lot of time management in my life. Does anyone want to come in anymore, or we'll end this now? I am telling intention from which it is spoken. In Haryana, it's spoken for someone stupid and foolish who isn't aware of contemporary ideas or technology, etc. Condescending term for villagers. Yes. Oh, you are talking about Gawad. There's a movement here in North America to help bring pagans together. Pagans often attend Hindu conferences. Oh, I see. And Rajiv Malhotra is working on talking to Native Americans already, building a coalition with them. And paganism always leads to great music. All the great black metal bands of Switzerland, Norway, Denmark, Finland are all pagans. Who is here? Out of the blue, M. Shastri is back.
I just thought I'd join in.
Yeah.
Nobody is home. They're all on vacation, so I have the home for myself, and
nice.
I just want to take advantage of it.
So tell us about your experience watching Steven Wilson live.
Oh, it was wonderful. Like, so we used to pirate Porcupine Tree quite a bit. So we then started joining his forum, right? And his forum, we started pestering him. You should come to India. You should come to India. You should come to India, right?
Yeah.
I think that pestering went on for like several years. Then I think one of my friends, he's like, oh, IIT Bombay is looking for some guy to come here, right? So we told him, why don't you try Steven Wilson? And so we worked our way through him, and he managed to get Steven Wilson to come to IIT Bombay, and I think it was at Mood Indigo.
Right.
And so that's where we saw him for the first time. But while he was in Mumbai, he went to like some of the local music shops.
Okay.
So that's where like we went there.
Yeah.
It was my first ever music CD. It was very expensive back then.
Yeah, very.
So bought it and then got a signing from him, and he's like, how did you guys like figure out like we did not start selling these things here in India? How did you guys discover Porcupine Tree?
Yeah.
At that point in time, we told him like, yeah, we pirated your stuff.
How do you remember the India of pre 1991? I was born in 1991, so I don't know anything about it, only from books.
I mean, it was quite vivid, right? Now, you need to remember one thing is that 1991 liberalization didn't mean that we overnight just switched over to capitalism.
Yeah.
Right? There was a certain amount of lag time. I'd probably say liberalization didn't kick in until 95. Right? So you still had some of the same problems that you had pre-liberalization, right? So your ration stores were still broken. If you got rice from them, half of it was just stones. You had no water. Electricity was much worse. Unemployment became much worse. Poverty jumped. It was just like, it's kind of like, I think people don't really understand the 91 to 94 period. It was a bigger shock for us than anything else, because a lot of things were happening, right? On top of that, we also had the Ayodhya riots as well in the middle of all that.
Yeah. And
so
the Congress supporters who say, or even today people who idolize PC Mahalanobis, have you had any confrontations with them? What do you think of this idea that they want credit for the things they did before 1991 and for doing 1991 as well?
Absolutely not. I mean, they do not deserve any credit, right? Like, I mean, the only credit they deserve is the one that they drove the economy down to the ground, right? They kept us poor, essentially. See, what was happening since 1955 when Awadi resolution was passed was that we basically went into stagnation, a long drawn 4-decade-long stagnation. We didn't grow, but things didn't go worse either. But we just stayed poor, right?
Yeah.
And it's also interesting because we were all equally poor, right?
Yeah.
Like even if you had money, you had no ability to spend that money.
Yeah.
Right? If you wanted to, even a Ambani could only afford, could only manage to buy a government built house.
Yeah.
Because nobody else had any kind of like authority to build houses, right? So it's like if PWD built houses, that's all the houses you got. Otherwise, you stayed in a slum.
Yeah. Right. And have you spoken to such Congress supporters? Have you had a debate with these people?
I mean, they're like pretty much dead. These days, you can't like you'll keep going in circles with them because they'll start saying like, oh no, but Rajiv Gandhi introduced
computers.
some reforms.
He's the father of computers.
And Indira Gandhi introduced some reforms. So it's a rather useless debate to have with them, right? Rather, on the other hand, you could basically say that look at all the stuff you haven't done, right? Look at all the stuff you haven't taken advantage of, right? Rather than giving them credit for, oh, you liberalized something, it's much more easier to say, okay, you did something, but you missed out the whole forest as well.
Yeah.
Right? Like one of the things that I tell people is that, yeah, liberalization was the first step, but Congress didn't implement any of the further required reforms that came with Vajpayee, that came with Deve Gowda, that came with keeping Jyoti Basu out of power. People forget that in 1994, Jyoti Basu was going to be prime minister.
Actually, I don't think that was going to be any significant of a problem for India because C.P.I.M was not going to have any say, right? Jyoti Basu would have to be running on a coalition government. He was not going to be able to apply any commie policies.
No. You're mistaken there, right?
Okay.
So Congress itself had a socialist wing that was heavily inspired by Indira.
Yeah.
Right? Those guys were clamoring with C.P.I.M and they were trying to form a government. And if it wasn't for who's Sonia Gandhi's predecessor, they purged him. The poor guy, he's a Dalit guy.
Right.
He prevented that unholy coalition from happening. He was basically like him and Narasimha Rao. But it was Vajpayee that basically came in and sort of cock-blocked it. If it wasn't for that 13-day government, we would have been stuck under Jyoti Basu.
Paint us a picture of that beautiful what if. What would happen if Jyoti Basu became PM?
So essentially, what liberalization did was it did two things, right? It removed tariffs. It brought India under GATT, which is the predecessor to WTO, right? It liberalized tariffs because we were basically saying we'll charge you 120% tariff on everything, right? And the other thing that it did was it basically dismantled the license quota Raj. Right, so you don't need to go to the government and beg them for a production license or anything else.
So would Jyoti Basu bring that back, or would Jyoti Basu make sure that there is no company to even ask for licenses?
No, he was trying to basically do both, right? He wanted us to get out of GATT.
Yeah.
Right? He wanted us to get out of GATT, and he was going to put in more tariffs. And the third proposal was the Congress and the C.P.I.M were completely into deficit spending.
Yeah.
You have to remember, this was before FRBM. Fiscal Responsible Budget Management Act came in 2003. So there was nothing constraining central government from printing money and spending all that money out, right? So these guys wanted deficit spending back. So we would have ended up like a worse, poorer, and a socialist version of Argentina.
Yeah. And what's interesting is you mentioned that the era from 1991 to 94 was a gigantic shock. Now, you see, this is what libertarians don't understand, that Narendra Modi is easing India into a much more capitalism sort of a society, because those shocks are truly evil for people. None of us are used to a capitalist society. We may like it. We may think good things of it, but we're not used to that lifestyle. So many people work 18 hours a day in USA. because maybe they make a good profit out of it, because they like it, or maybe because they have actually screwed up and have 3 jobs. No one in India is really used to these things. Maybe the middle class in the IT sector is now getting used to it, but imagine everyone having to do it all of a sudden, like it happened in 91 to 94. So things need to be eased into, and Narasimha Rao back then couldn't do it because it was not happening on Narasimha Rao's terms. It was because of that his back being stuck to the wall. It was a self-defense, a last defense. That is why he does not deserve any credit.
I mean, but yes, that's true. But you also need to remember that the liberalization process did not begin with Narasimha Rao. It actually began with his predecessor, Chandrasekhar Rao.
Okay.
Sorry, Chandrasekhar Azad.
Okay.
So essentially, you have to remember one thing, right? So you had 1984, Rajiv Gandhi was elected, right? Then he was in power for 5 years, right? So that's 1989. And sorry, he got toppled in between, right? So between 1988 to 91, there were actually three governments. There was the Janata Dal VP government, then there was the Chandrasekhar Azad government, and then finally then came Narasimha Rao. The process of liberalization and everything else, negotiations with IMF, started during the previous government's time. He brought in Yashwant Singh, Manmohan Singh, and Chidambaram together. Yashwant Sinha, Chidambaram, and Manmohan Singh together, and told them, "Hey, you guys go lead the negotiations with the IMF." और उन लोग चुपके से कर रहे थे, right? And then finally they got Jagdish Bhagwati, Arvind Virmani, and a couple of other folks as well. Arvind Virmani was in the US at that time.
Okay.
So, and then they drafted this entire liberalization plan. And what Narasimha Rao did was, he was basically a political maverick. He said, "I'll take all the blame for all of this. You guys just silently do what you need to do."
Wasn't he already about to go to prison because of corruption charges, or was it somebody else?
वो बाद में.
I see. Yes. Right.
बाद में. See, the thing was Congress was laying traps against each other. Right? So, उन लोग and it was fairly a decentralized. See, when the family head goes away,
right,
the entire party just factionalizes and splinters within. एक बंदा home ministry rule करता है, दूसरा बंदा defense ministry rule करता है, and they are all like departmental satraps, right? So if Narasimha Rao is a prime minister, uska home ministry satrap can easily get him investigated under C.P.I, right? So वैसे सब होता ही रहता है. I mean, it even happened during UPA 1 and 2. Manmohan Singh never ran that government.
Yeah, never. What was that NES or NSE, that something national
NAC.
advice?
Oh my God! See, NAC was pretty horrible as well. I'm not sure how old were you in 2004? Like just kind of
13.
13. Okay.
Yeah.
So, in India, the highest constitutionally executive board entity is the Prime Minister. Right? So, essentially what Sonia Gandhi did was place the executive powers under National Advisory Council. So, it's an extra judicial body. It's not even, extra constitutional body. वो constitutional भी नहीं है वो.
Yeah.
उसके बाहर है ये.
Yeah.
And then they are telling the Prime Minister to ये सब चीज करना चाहिए करके. So they were basically giving executive policy actions to the Prime Minister to do stuff.
Yeah.
Manmohan Singh is a decent guy.
Yeah.
He needs the respect.
Yeah.
But the dude was like a weak leader. He could not project power, and बेचारे को इतना humiliate करना था कर दिया.
Yeah, we can respect people for certain things and we can disrespect people for certain things. We can respect him as an economist, not as a prime minister.
I think there's one thing that you kids should understand is that all this technology we have today would not be possible if Manmohan Singh didn't stand his ground during US nuclear deal.
Yeah.
Right? वो नहीं होता था ना, we would have been North Korea again, or Iran.
Yeah.
Right? Inventing our own computers, inventing our own stuff,
We
we'd
have
be at least 15 years behind.
We have a very interesting question for you. Why did you put Bhutan's flag in your DP? You must be aware of 90s ethnic cleansing of Nepali Hindus, which was done by the monarch on the pretext of Indian invasion of Bhutan because of Hindus living there.
Obfuscation.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just obfuscating my identity a little bit.
Okay.
No other reason.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to ask is, do you have Bengali friends there where you live? What do you think of Bengal?
I've moved too many places, so that's
Okay.
my thing, right? Like, the place I live is probably the 5th country I've lived in.
Nice.
Right, so this is literally, I hope this would be the last place for me. I don't want to move anymore.
Okay, so you are not coming back to India after de-dollarization?
No. Retirement plans alag hai, but
Okay.
it's like, as far as moving in the immediate term, it's like I'm too
Right.
tired, man. Like, पांच देश घूम चुका हूँ मैं.
Yeah. So, okay, someone is asking, can someone tell me how can I join? Okay, someone explain to him. Okay, Shastri, what do you think of West Bengal? How have you seen West Bengal as an outsider? That would be an interesting thing to know.
Oh man, so okay, so I can. How far do you want me to go back?
When you were in India, what did you think of West Bengal or Bengalis growing up?
So I'll put it this way, right? So my dada had a particular kind of image of West Bengal. My father had a particular image of West Bengal, and I have a particular image of West Bengal,
Yeah.
right? So that's what I mean by how far do you want me to go back? Like, I can go back all the way back to the 60s and then come up to the...
Yeah, start from your
2000s.
grandfather only.
Okay, so in the 60s, there were probably 2 very industrialized states in India, right? One was Maharashtra and the other was West Bengal, right? They were quite competitive with each other.
Yeah.
So OFB, like Ordnance Factory Board in Ambernath and Khadki, would compete with the folks at Ishapur. It was healthy competition as well.
Yeah.
Right? So Ishapur would come out with a product, Khadki would want to invest and do something about it.
Yeah.
Right? So it was a very competitive spirit. And the only difference was that I think post-independence, Maharashtra's intellectual capital pretty much died. Right? Like, Maharashtra became more capitalist rather than intellectual. Bengal became more intellectual rather than capitalist.
Yeah.
So यहाँ पर क्या हुआ? Immediately after Gandhi's assassination, the creme de la creme Hindutva intellectuals were purged.
Yeah.
All the Brahmins were castigated. And then immediately you had the Samyukt Maharashtra movement. So there was no safe space for intellectuals to thrive. Right? And in that kind of chaos, only business thrives because they hedge with everyone, right? So essentially what happened was that without like the intellectuals directing like what's equality, what's fairness and everything else, the government and the political establishment had a more freer hand. So they started slowly industrializing the state. And it's a classic industrialization model. First, they did a little bit of agri, then they had textiles, so they expanded on textiles. Textiles, they went to chemicals and heavy industries. And then now they're doing somewhat about full manufacturing, right? Whole supply chain manufacturing. So in the 70s, that's my Dada's era, right? That's when these industrialization starts. And Bengal is also going through some of them. Haldia is built and everything else. So there was a little bit of competition between Maharashtra and Bengal. I think from the 70s onwards is when it starts going downhill, right?
Yeah.
Indira comes to power. She becomes socialist in the center. West Bengal becomes uber socialist. Usse bhi kattar socialist West Bengal ban jata hai, and since then it goes downhill.
Yeah.
My dad kept saying that like he hated Bengalis, like pretty
Okay.
much. He's like, in log sirf baat hi karte, kaam hi nahi karte.
Are you from? Are you Marathi?
I am Tamil, Marathi, and
Acha,
a
acha.
bit of Kannadiga.
Oh, acha.
So mixed background.
Okay.
So and I'm third generation Tamil
Acha.
in Maharashtra.
I
So
see.
I'm more in tune with Marathi stuff than actual Tamil politics. Though
Acha.
my parents' side are from Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
Sorry, mom's side. Yeah.
I see.
So where was I?
So your father hates Bengalis.
Yeah, I mean he basically disliked Bengali culture, right? He was basically like, look, sirf baat hi karte the. It's all the intellectual, and they're destroying the economy. And if you live in Maharashtra, Marathis are very mercantile people.
Yeah. That is apparently a criticism today. that guy, something Khurana, he wrote a critique of Sanjeev Sanyal saying that Mumbai is too mercantile. That is a criticism.
Yeah, I mean, we are mercantile people, right? So it's more like if you destroy kya bolte hai, artha, then that's kind of like a huge sin for mercantile people.
Yeah.
So for him, he was basically very, very afraid that Jyoti Basu would come to power in the center and India would be finished. So and he was very critical of West Bengal's like politics in the sense that कि ये लोग देश के बारे में ही नहीं सोचते, हमेशा कुबा और Soviet Union. And he was basically critical of their policies in the sense कि ये काम नहीं करेगा, this will bring more corruption. And it happened exactly how he sort of anticipated, right?
Yes.
And he did not believe any of the propaganda coming from West Bengal saying that, oh, we eliminated caste. Like, because he would always say like, एक आता है मुखर्जी या बंदोपाध्याय हमेशा बोलता है कि कास्ट निकल गया है, मगर उनसे ही सिर्फ सुनने में आता है.
Yeah.
Right? And by the time I was born, it was basically like all the smart Bengalis started moving to Bombay. And they were starting to curse West Bengal.
Okay.
Right? They were like, कितना अच्छा देश था. Sorry, राज्य था.
Yeah.
खराब कर दिया इन लोग. And they would keep talking about Satyajit Ray and Rabindranath Tagore. And you'd be wondering like, उसके आगे भी कोई है क्या? Is there a Bengali equivalent of a Rajnikant or a Shah Rukh Khan or something like that? So I think like the romantic notion of West Bengal died in my generation, pretty much. It was quite evident that it was going all downhill from then on.
Yeah. What did you think of Bengalis and West Bengal growing up? Was it irrelevant to you, or did you actually think that bad things are going on over there?
So we see, information was scarce, right? आज की तरह नहीं है.
Yeah.
So today it's like you can go online, you can read about West Bengal, you can do all of those things. Back then you had no telephone. Telephone के लिए तेरे को दो साल करना पड़ता है.
Yeah.
Right? You have to go to a PCO, a shop. उसके पास एक telephone रहेगा. You have to dial the number,
Right.
wait, hope that someone on the other side picks up, and then wait another 10 minutes, and then you can talk to them, right? So information was very scarce.
Yeah. What did you all think of Bengal when you all heard the news of Shingur and then the factory closing down? Did you all get these news?
I mean, yeah. Shingur, by 2004, you had private television, right? So you had some amount of that information scarcity kind of fell down over time.
Yeah.
So when Shingur happened, it was basically like, this is typical commie stuff kind of thing, right? Like the writing was pretty much on the wall ki nahi hone wala, ye to Gujarat mein hi aane wala hai. Because Narendra Modi was like, like sitting here in Maharashtra, you could pretty much tell what Narendra Modi was doing.
Yeah.
Right? And in Maharashtra, we were basically screaming at our state government saying, "Arey bhai, Modi wahan par, they are out competing us. You guys are freaking sleeping."
Yeah.
This conversation still goes on today in Maharashtra. When Gujarat got its semiconductor plant, Maharashtra was in huge uproar. People were cursing Devendra Fadnavis. They were basically saying like, "Tere wajah se wo semiconductor plant kya hai? We didn't get that investment because of it."
What is Maharashtra's industrialization like outside Mumbai? I don't know much about Maharashtra other than Mumbai.
Okay, so Maharashtra's industrialization happened in a couple of phases, right?
Okay.
So first it started with Mumbai, then it went further inland, right? So the earliest phase of industrialization was primarily centered in Mumbai,
Okay.
right? Then second phase was around the suburbs of Mumbai. So it started with Thane, Kalyan. I mean, if you bring up a map of Mumbai, it'll be much more clearer. It started with Thane, Kalyan, Ambarnath, and then it went to Pune, Nashik, and then it went further inland.
So all these places are full of factories these days.
Thane is no longer a factory anymore.
Okay.
It's transformed itself from a factory town to a residential town to now a mixed economy.
I see.
Right. So you have residents and services over there, and a healthy data center business.
Oh.
Right. A lot of Mumbai suburbs are transforming similarly. Old factory towns are becoming more like warehouses, service centers, and all of those things. There are some still extant industries, which are the heavy capital expenditure type of industries like petroleum and fertilizers are still in Mumbai, but a lot of them have actually sort of moved to some of the outlying areas. So whatever industries used to be there in Thane have now moved to their own dedicated industrial units in, say, in sort of just outside of Navi Mumbai, right? Some of them have moved to Nashik. Some of them have moved to Jalna and Pune, and Nagpur, right? So that's how it is. And Maharashtra is actually quite industrialized.
Right, I see.
And it's also pretty well balanced. Like in Maharashtra, you have three very healthy urban economies: Mumbai, Pune, and Nagpur. And soon Nashik might become another one, and they're trying to develop Aurangabad as another one.
I see.
So I think in 5 years you'll see 5 proper cities with at least several tens of $1 billion of worth of economic activity happening.
Yeah, even Ankit Shah is predicting that for tier 2, tier 3 cities to grow pretty fast.
I mean, if you want to see the future of what tier 2 might look like, you can comfortably look at Maharashtra.
Right. What is the actual Marathi pronunciation of Pune? Is it Pune or Pune?
Pune.
Oh, so the British made it Pune.
Yeah.
I see. And what is your criticism of Ankit Shah's predictions? I guess you are pretty opposed to his views.
No, I mean, it's not opposed as much as that I feel like his ideas are still not fully formed, right?
Okay.
They lack a certain level of depth. Now, he talks about Purushastra pretty well. I understand that as a concept, but if I'm a government official, I sort of draw a blank as to like how do I devise policy from it, right? And that kind of depth is required in his ideas.
And what about his predictions?
I mean,
what do you think of the de-dollarization idea specifically? When do you think is it going to happen? It's not going to happen. When is it going to happen?
I mean, these things will happen, right? So there's no question about it. So it's like saying the sun will rise in the east, right? So that's also a prediction. It will also be accurate, right? Or that, these are kind of like obvious predictions, but I think the if you want to assess how good the prediction is, then you would want to actually ask him about how would de-dollarization happen? What would be the first signs of de-dollarization we'd be seeing?
I guess he would
countries
say
are
that
making
the signs are already here. BRICS is forming. Some banks are closing down. Joblessness. People are getting fired, and UAE is becoming friends with India. BRICS currency is getting ready. It's going to be a basket
no,
of currencies.
that's one level, right? I'm
Hmm.
saying it's a whole process. So okay, yeah, step one. Okay, next step is okay, the CBDC is introduced or something like that, right? Next step is like, India and another country just deal in their respective currencies, avoid the dollar or something like that, right? I mean, that level of depth is missing, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Because in terms of even bilateral agreements, we are many countries are ditching the dollar already.
Not necessarily. They still peg their transactions through to the dollar, right? So take Russia, UAE, India oil trade. It's still pegged to the dollar, though they don't transact in dollars with each other. The UAE still pegs the price of oil to the dollar. So it's not de-dollarization as much as it's like sanctions avoidance.
Right. And what other thing I was going to ask? I forgot. Okay, then we'll wrap up the conversation now. Some other day we are going to do this full-fledged.
It's not de-dollar. Any other questions from the chat?
Please discuss Yuri Bezmenov, aka Thomas Schumann's speech on political subversion in India. That's going to be a long topic. We can't.
Yeah. That's very long because in India it's not just about importing ideas from outside. It's also about making it your own and then re-exporting it. I think the biggest fear I have for India is like not the bad ideas of India.
Yeah.
It's like the bad ideas we take from the West, mix it with the bad ideas we develop domestically, and then re-export it to the rest of the world.
And you see, underestimating your opponent is always a very wrong thing to do. It's for your own benefit that you must understand your opponent very well, right? And I don't think a lot of Hindus who even think Muslims are a problem or Islam is a problem have really understood where the sources of Islamic arguments are coming from. A lot of woke commie arguments that Bengali historians or commie historians in the 90s, 80s peddled actually came from brilliant, of course, people who you would disagree with, but brilliant, great, highly intellectual Muslim intellectuals, like Nawab Salimullah, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan, Syed Amir Ali. These people have been heavily quoted in India, Bharat, Pakistan, Jesai Deepak's second book, You won't believe the kind of grasp they have on the English language, the depth in their ideas, no matter how bad their ideas, but it's very, very well fleshed out. They even go to the point of saying in some parts that we don't have any direct personal problem with our Hindu brethren. The problem is just that we are looking after Muslim interests. And then they get into their justifications, which are basically today's intersectionality and wokeism arguments. So a lot of wokeism does not even start with Bengali commies, but it started with devout Muslims who learned the English language. And the problem is we haven't read those things and we don't even know of these people. Whenever we think of Muslims, we either think it's a random rioteer, patharbaz, or a great devout Muslim who is actually a very secular person. Actually, there's someone in between who is creating these stuff.
And we also need to realize is that their English works is only a fraction of what they wrote, and what they wrote is only a fraction of what they said. So even when we are basing our opinions, we are only basing our opinions on what they wrote in English. Urdu mein bahut kuch aur likha hai.
Yeah, that's the part. The commie academics are not even getting into the Urdu stuff. Whatever they are getting from the English intellectuals. English-speaking Muslim intellectuals.
And this is also my criticism of Western scholars. So, Barclay might be the first Western scholar to have spent time reading local language texts.
Yeah, she knows Marathi and she used that language.
She knows Marathi and she's read Marathi.
Right.
I mean, she's read Savarkar's Marathi works.
Yeah.
She knows Gujarati and she's read Gandhi's Gujarati works as well.
I see.
Right. So that's good scholarship. Abhi ek Maya Trudeau aati hai, she writes some shit about India, chasing equality rather than liberty, and all her primary sources are all English.
Like Abhijit Mitra says that you can't be a Pakistan expert unless you know Urdu. Sushant Sarin knows Urdu. That's why you can trust him to be a Pakistan expert.
Exactly. So there's that. And the other thing I want to say is that English does not give you an advantage. Mastery of a language gives you an advantage, right? और हमारा education system में we don't allow people to master their any language.
Yeah.
English हो, Hindi हो, Bengali हो.
Yes. But why wouldn't knowing basic English give an advantage? Let's say call center jobs or even basic IT sector jobs.
I see. You don't need basic English to get a job. You need basic mastery of just any language, right? Actually, our Indian languages, their grammar is so advanced that if you master their grammar, then you can learn European languages quite easily.
That is why people who did not actually study English in the West Bengal government schools are ending up learning English, are being able to learn English to some extent only because of the strength of the Indic languages. Of course, that is the case.
So Savarkar, his writings are so eloquent only because he had immense mastery in Marathi.
Yeah.
Right? Uska Marathi works are just poetry. I mean, you read some of his English works, right?
Yeah.
Tere aankhon mein aasu aa rahe. You're like, this is just beautiful writing.
Yes.
But if you read his Marathi works, you'll be like, "Arey, wow, iska English bhi hai na." It doesn't do him justice, right? So they had that mastery in their own native language, and they could just use that flair and style and tone from that in English. It's just a matter of word substitution at that point in time.
Yeah. Someone is asking you a question that how come Britishers opposed communism on their own land and passively propagated it in Indian politics simultaneously? Jai Shivaji Maharaj.
Interesting question. I think what the British were doing was they were just essentially, it's divide and rule, right? Like you create so much chaos that you destroy any kind of unity within the freedom movement. That's exactly what they were doing, right? And the other thing was the British security establishment. I've read some of the archives. It's actually very eye-opening. Was that they were looking for excuses, right? Commie could ज़्यादा हरकतें किया तो then they arrest the commie and everyone else because it's guilt by association.
Yeah.
Right. So they would shut everything down. And if you look at Gadar, I'm pretty close to some of the places where the Gadar houses were all Gadar revolutionaries were all set up.
Okay.
So if you look at any history of the Gadar movement, they picked up folks that were not revolutionaries in the traditional sense. They were just like marginally supporting. They gave some intellectual cover for them. They picked up those folks as well because it was just basically guilt by association.
Yeah. We read some of that in the Barclay book as well. It was just plain fascism.
Plain fascism, and they were just looking for excuses, right? They were trying to shape the entire scenario to suit their needs. Most of the time, they were not that successful.
Okay then, Mr. Shastra, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
We'll wrap up the conversation now. Thank you for everyone for joining. We had a very weird night of conversations. Good night. See you tomorrow with Dr. Shomode at 7:30 p.m. IST. Bye bye. Good night, everyone.
Bye bye.